Hey, good evening, family. Welcome to another live Wednesday night of the ONG Strike Zone. I'm Bryan Fulford. That's Kelvin Rozier. And I haven't heard any status on the third member of the triumvirate. Have we heard anything from Mr. Marcus Green?
Black Tony?
I missed the memo.
Black Tony? You know Black Tony, I think he's tied up to like 9 o'clock as usual.
Okay. On a side handling business.
That's right. He's handling business for the ultimate boss.
Oh, okay. Well,
of glory. He's working for Jesus.
Well, we definitely can't get in the way of that. We won't get in the way of that.
No, sir.
So, yeah. Well, when we see Marcus, hopefully it'll be in hour number 2. But we got a good show planned for you tonight. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we're going to talk with our championship, division-winning head coach, softball head coach, Coach Brittany Beall, as the Rattlers conclude the season with a big win in Montgomery, a big series win, and clinching the second consecutive back-to-back SWAC Eastern Division titles. And we'll wait to see where the Rattlers fall. Actually, given the fact that the softball tournament, we'll talk about the softball tournament here in a second, but, they're off this weekend, and then they will make their way out to Gulfport sometime probably Monday, I would imagine, if not Sunday evening. They'll make their way out to Gulfport, Mississippi, which is where the SWAC Softball tournament will be held beginning on May 6th. A great day, by the way. It'll take place on May 6th.
What is happening on May 6th?
It's just a great day, man. It's a great day. A child was born. That's all I'm going to say. A kid from Indiana. That's it. A child was born. Just a kid who grew up in Indiana, Born in Norfolk, grew up in Indiana.
I've got the Buchanan pineapple for you.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. So, pretty good stuff going on here. And, of course, all kinds of things to talk about on the diamond. Baseball doing well. We got some big announcements that came within the last the afternoon, day regarding tennis and golf, which we'll share that information as well. We finally know where our championship-winning tennis and golf teams will be competing in the NCAA regionals. And then a few other news and notes, things happening around FAMU, of course.
Some recruiting.
Got some recruiting news regarding our basketball programs. Also got some...
Also football.
Yeah, we do. Exactly. Got some big news. So we got the big 3 sports all have some interesting recruiting news to talk about. Maybe we'll wait for hour 2 for Marcus, and then I don't know if he's listening. Maybe in one of the breaks I have to see if I can put together some graphics and stuff that we've got. But we'll put all that together and we'll talk about it. And then I'm sure we will get into a little conversation in a segment regarding the latest news regarding the FAMU presidential search, which is happening. And man, it is really interesting. Some of the news transparency reports that are coming out.
Yeah, I might have a little something to say about the silence of some of our DSO's leadership. We should have a position by now, buddy.
Okay. I'd love to hear it. Love to hear your thoughts on it. So, hey, if you're watching the show, however you're watching us, say hello to everybody watching on YouTube. You could be watching us on our Jericho Broadcast Network's YouTube page, also, which is a part of the Black College Sports Network at MyJBN Online. You also could be watching us on our ONG StrikeZone YouTube page, which is a great spot to go to whenever you want to watch a segment, or maybe you missed a full segment. Just go to @ONG StrikeZone and you can watch the show in its entirety, or we even got little clips and segments that we'll cut out and we'll put there as well. Hello to everybody watching us on Facebook. You could be watching us on Facebook.com, the Black College Sports Network, or the ONG StrikeZone Facebook page. So definitely hit the like button there. And of course, to everybody watching on Twitter, or X as it's now known. I'll always call it Twitter. But we say hello to all of you watching us as well. There's even some chat options that you can do via there. If you want to support the show, you can do it in a couple ways. You see down there, you see the Cash App symbol. You can support the show. Hit the Cash App, or if you're part of the JBN family, you can send us a super chat, or you can become a JBN subscriber for the Black College Sports Network, which many of our friends have done, and we appreciate them all. So let's start with the roll call, Kelvin, as we like to do around this time at the beginning of the show, as we check in with the family who's taking the time out to get in the chats and say what's up and shout us out. I know it looks like Kelvin's trying to deal. Okay, he's working on his signal and everything. But Jimmy Max, the first one in the building, a JBN subscriber. So we say hello to you, Jimmy. Yes, indeed. We are still the #1 HBCU. They didn't forget. They may try to deny it, but they didn't forget. Bull checking in. Good to see you, Bull. Exactly. Shout out to FAMU Golf. We'll talk about where they're headed. You don't have to go too far for the regionals. So that's a nice thing. Nice thing. Meredith checking in. Good to see you, Meredith. Thanks for being a JBN subscriber. We appreciate you as well. Kelvin checking in. Marvin Allen checking in from Duval. I don't know if you're on mute, Kelvin. You might be on mute. I don't know if you were trying to say anything or not, but I think you might.
Hello, beautiful people.
There you go. Marcus, good to see you, Marcus. Thanks for being a JBN subscriber. Appreciate you. Mary 305 also checking in. Another JBN subscriber. Thank you, Mary. Good to see you. Iria Young, softball alum in the house, checking in. Good to see you, Iria. Thanks for checking in. Little baby 245 checking in. Thanks for being a member, a subscriber of our YouTube page. Appreciate you. Tamara T checking in. Good to see you, Tamara. Thanks for being a JBN subscriber. We appreciate you. Drew checking in, my co-host on the BCSN Sports Wrap every Sunday night, 6 o'clock.
Hey, I still ain't found out what AD stand for. The people want to know, Drew.
You're funny. Maybe when you need to know. If you're a Rattler, if you're on the yard with Drew, then you know. Ashton Harris, good to see you, Ashton. Thanks for checking in. Glad to have you on board. Sam Dixie checking in. Good to see you. Good evening, Sam. Chuck Hunt, good to see you, Chuck. Checking in as always from Monroe, Louisiana. Alice McCullough in the 561 Broward County, Palm Beach in the house. Thanks for checking in on Facebook, Alice. Appreciate you. Johnny Thornton checking in. Good to see you, Johnny. JBN subscriber. Can't wait for Johnny's excited, counting down the weeks before his North Carolina Central Eagles get ready to take on they start the season against Southern, so in the MEAC SWAC Challenge. But
hey, most of them at FAMU now. He might as well come on over.
You go and jump in the transfer portal too, Johnny, along with the rest of those Eagles. We got enough of them. We got a whole basketball squad of Eagles that came over. We got room for you, Johnny. We'll work on getting you one of them nice shirts that Kelvin has. We'll work on getting you one of them nice orange shirts.
Oh, by the way, since you brought it up, shout out to Fang Exchange, Ashley and the crew, Tashay and the Colonel and everybody. Thanksgiving, you support it. Got a nice little thank you box today. Membership has its privileges.
Amen. Shout out to Fang Exchange. I'll definitely run the scroll here in a minute. That's got all that info on it. Let me see. I probably hit somebody. Sweet, thank you for checking in. A JBN subscriber as well. Thank you, Sweet. B Starks checking in from the A. Thank you for being a JBN subscriber. Hold on, let me cut my phone on mute. Well, vibrate. That'll be bad. Hello. Thanks for checking in.
Hello.
Edwin Moore, good to see you, man. Thanks for checking in. Checking in from the DFW, Southern in the house. Let me see. EA in the house. Good to see you, EA. Checking in. Joe King in the house. Good to see you, Joe. Strikeadocious checking in. I love that name. It just kind of rolls off the tongue. Good to see you. Thanks for checking in. Gail. Good to see you, Gail. Thanks for being a JBN subscriber. Gail, I would love to hear your reviews on the screening of the documentary Bullet, which is a documentary on Bullet Bob Hayes, which was produced by a group of journalism students.
You got to get them on. Got to get them on.
Yeah, we'll try to. Man, I tell you, this is I think the second or third year in a row that I don't know if it was this same group of students or just students from the journalism school that they put together some critically acclaimed work. I know there was an Emmy. I don't know, it was a documentary or a series that they did last year, but some good stuff coming out. So Gail, I want you to definitely put some comments in the chat there and let us know. I'm curious about where you can see the screening. I mean, is it going to be screened at various theaters? Is it going to run on, Netflix, or are they moving in that direction? Because I'd love to. I should try to see if I can download the trailer that I saw. Maybe I can find the trailer and run it. I'll try to do that maybe during one of the breaks. James Austin checking in. Yeah, James, all of our major sports coached by former Florida State guys, I mean, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. We find good talent finds its way over to FAMU.
There you go.
Somehow, some way, right? So I think it's all part of it. Troy White, good to see you. Troy White checking in. Appreciate you. Ezekiel Love, good to see you, Zeke. Demetra checking in. Hey, Demetra, good to see you. Sam Gilbert, good to see you, Sam. Kerry Daniels checking in from Duval in the house. See, look, Johnny even said it's one of his favorite colors. It's coming.
Come on over.
We got room for you. There's plenty of room. Plenty of room for you. We'll talk about the draft a little bit later. Maybe we'll get into that segment. Kelvin's Atlanta Falcons. He's excited about that. Dirty Birds. JT in the house. Maybe you'll be able to stop somebody this year, given all that you've invested in the defensive side. Yeah, right. I had to say. Melissa Wilson. Melissa Wilson checking in. Good to see you, Melissa. All right, checking in. Good to see you. All right. I'm going to table the softball talk until we get our coach on. So obviously we mentioned the fact that softball just won the East Division. So we'll go through the standings and we'll show all that. But let's go to baseball. Let's start with baseball because I think we got some interesting nuggets that we can talk about here until we get Coach coming up here at the bottom of the hour. Again, Coach Brittany Beall joining us at the bottom of the hour. So if you guys got any questions for Coach Beall, feel free to drop it in the chat. Give us some predictions. I mean, you guys keep up with some of the statistics in the SWAC. Let us know if you think there's an opportunity we get a repeat for SWAC Pitcher of the Year. Of course, Zoriana Hughes was the defending SWAC Pitcher of the Year. I do have a feeling, Kelvin, we might get Newcomer of the Year again. Last year it was Samantha Smith. I got a feeling Amari Brown. She doesn't get it this year. I don't know what the hell's going on, but anyway. Yeah. So let me see. And that's so as baseball came around, Grambling coming into the series against Grambling, dealing with a 6-game losing streak coming into the game. We took one on the chin in game number 1, losing by a score. I think the score was 6-4.
Correct.
6-4 in game number 1. Looking at some of the stats in the ball game, Garrett Workman was on the mound. He is now, or has become, our day 1 starter in the series, our ace right now, true freshman right out of Tallahassee, Florida. Shout out to Garrett and the Workman family. Watch the show. Appreciate the support. But Grambling jumped on him a little early.
Just one bad inning.
Yeah, just one bad inning. Gave up 4 runs in the top of the 3rd. But we rallied, though. We rallied with 2 runs in the bottom of the 3rd, a run in the bottom of the 4th, run in the bottom of the 5th. And it essentially was a 5-4 ball game throughout until the top of the 8th inning. Grambling put a little insurance run on the board. Ended up winning 6-4. They got 6 runs on 7 hits. We, on the other hand, had 4 runs on 12 hits, Kelvin. I mean, so it wasn't by our inability to get on the base pads. We had 2 home runs in the game. Brady Popple hit another one. Ethan Miller had a homer as well. I was trying to see what the total number of left on base was. It had to be somewhere close to 8 or 9, if I recall. 9, yeah, 9 runners left on base. So, was what it was in game, and so that ended up being Grambling State's coach Pierre. That ended up being his 100th win. Again, that turned out to be the 7th loss in a row. But from that point forward, Kelvin, we kind of turned it on. We really did, because the bats came out in game 2 and 3 as we put 11 runs up on both Saturday and Sunday, winning by a score of 11-4 on Saturday, and then 11-9 on Sunday. Which one of those games did you end up getting to, Kelvin?
I made it to Sunday's game.
Okay.
And what I would tell you is that for the entire weekend, Grambling can hit the ball.
Oh yeah.
It's pitching that's their weak spot, and we hit the ball well all 3 games. As you mentioned, just the first game, we didn't string together the hits with men on base like we did the other 2 games. But it was a good series. It was an important series because we were tied with them. Also, it was an important series for positioning because Bethune lost to the Pine Bluff, and they're going through some injuries with their pitching. And that's why I always say all schedules aren't equal. So we talked about Coach Shoup and how he challenges his team throughout the season with out-of-conference games and how we don't schedule D2s and NAIAs and all that. We tend to schedule teams that are likely to be in the NCAA baseball playoffs and from power conferences. So, and in terms of the SWAC, we played all the top teams now with the exception of 1. So our last 3 series, we're dealing with 2 bottom feeders, and then we have the series with Texas Southern. So we're in a great position in terms of being able to compete for winning the outright conference champ. I think we 2 games, I guess, behind Bethune because of the tiebreaker. But they have the top 3 teams left, and outside of us and them, to finish the season. So they've got Grambling, they've got Alabama State, and I believe it's Texas Southern. So
yeah. Well, I want to break that down here in just a minute. Let me come back and just look at some of those numbers that you mentioned. The hitting again on Saturday, 11 runs on 10 hits, 1 error to Grambling's 4 runs on 9 hits. We scored 11 runs on 10 hits and still left 12 runners on the base pads. I mean, so just to tell you what kind of day it was on Saturday. Let me see. Carson Kelly would end up getting the win on day 2, and then on day 3, another 11-run output. This time, 11 runs on 9 hits. Grambling. This was a game that was kind of interesting because we jumped out to a 3-0 lead. At the end of 2, it was 4-2. Then we had a big 4-run inning in the bottom of the 5th, and we're thinking, okay, we're going to run away with this because it's 7-2. Then at the top of the 6th, we gave up 3 runs, and now it's a 7-5 ball game. We answered with 3 in the bottom of the 7th to push the lead back to 11-7, and then 11-5. And then Grambling puts 4 runs on us in the top of the 8th inning to make it 11-9. So if you were at the game on Sunday, you went through the full emotions of that contest. And but again, 11 runs on 9 hits, left 13 on base. William Brown got a home run. Matthew Perez got a home run. But I thought that most interesting thing is how about the pitching from the freshman, Jay Campbell.
Yeah.
5 innings. Jay by himself, Jay has shown to be a great DH this year, and he's put up some great numbers behind the plate or at the plate. But then the young man gets on the mound through 5 innings in this contest, ended up only allowing 4 hits. He faced 18 batters, gave up 2 earned runs. And I think this is the second time that Campbell has actually pitched.
Yep.
So, we're coming to, I don't know what the prognosis or if we're going to see Caleb Granger back in time for the tournament, but it's pretty interesting that Campbell is getting some run out there on the pitching mound. So pretty interesting developments there. Let me go to the standings because Kelvin was talking about the standings. Right now, as you can see, the standings, Bethune, by virtue of losing 2 of 3 to UAPB, who, by the way, don't sleep. UAPB is the hottest team in the SWAC right now. And I don't know, if you look at their standings right now, you see them sort of sitting in what 6th? But they're missing an entire series that got delayed or postponed due to weather. I don't know if that's going to be able to get made up. So it'll be interesting to see. But if you look at them in the loss column, their 7 losses are just 1 behind us and Alabama State. And again, the only reason they have 3 fewer wins than Grambling and Southern is I think they're missing a series against Prairie View. That's all they're missing. But UAPB has figured something out. I don't know what it is. They figured something out.
Well, to your point, Brian, 3 of their losses are to FAMU, so they've only lost 4 games to the rest of the conference thus far.
We caught them at the beginning. Early. We caught them early when maybe they were still trying to figure something out. I don't know, but I'm glad we caught them when we did. But that is, I'm telling you now, that's going to be a dangerous team in the tournament. I'm not, Kelvin will scoff at me for saying this. I don't want to face them in the tournament, not until we need to face them. But that's just me. I'm saying it. Kelvin will be like, man, whatever. But let me make a quick mention here. Kelvin mentioned the standings and what the remaining schedule, because there are only 3 more weekends left of games, right? 3 more weekends. So that's a total of 9 conference games left. So our schedule, as mentioned, we have Alabama A&M at home, this weekend. Then we're at Texas Southern for a series, and then Alcorn for a series. I see you, JT. I know we ain't scared. I ain't saying we scared, but I can be concerned. Can I be a little concerned? I ain't scared, I just, concerned. Okay. But compared to Bethune, Kelvin, as you mentioned, this weekend, a big weekend, Alabama State, who's tied with us, 2 games behind. So that, Bama State, Bethune, anything can happen in that series. But then Bethune has to play Grambling on the road. And then they play Texas Southern over at Sanford. So they play, if you look among the top 5 teams, Bethune plays 3 of the top 5 here down the stretch. So as my guy Drew said, I'm going to give this to Drew. Drew said, we got 8 winnable games at minimum. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, with everything Bethune has going on, out of 9 games, they could easily go 5-4, 4-5. We still have a chance. There is a very legitimate chance that we can still win the regular season. And again, there's no divisions. It is what it is, right? We can still win it. Bama State's schedule. After Bethune, they play Alcorn and Prairie View. So this is a big series for Bama State. Because if they were to somehow pull off a sweep, my God, it would put us and them, if we can get a sweep against Alabama A&M, that's how big this series is for both teams. Grambling has UAPB, as we just said, dangerous team. Then they play Bethune, and then they got Valley. So who knows? Valley has played well, but who knows if Valley's still going to be in it on the last weekend of the season. And then Texas Southern. Now, Texas Southern they got Southern this weekend.
Tough.
Should be. And then they play us, and then they play Bethune.
Yeah.
So, and remember, Texas A&M was all hot. They had the easy schedule, right, at the beginning. But see now,
gotta come to the East.
Gotta come play the teams who were formerly in the East. So it's gonna be interesting. Gonna be some fun baseball. But again, want to encourage everybody, if you can get out, it'll be senior weekend as the Rattlers host Alabama A&M. First game on Friday. You got first pitch is probably like 5 or 6 o'clock on Friday. And then they'll play Saturday. Hold on, I got this.
5 o'clock.
All right, good. 5 o'clock Friday, Moore Kittles Field. And then the Saturday game is 2 o'clock Eastern. And then the Sunday is a 1 o'clock Eastern. So, so good opportunity to get out to Moore Kittles for the final home series and say hey to the seniors as well. So, we'll see. All right, let's get ready to take our break and then come back with our East Division winning head coach, Coach Brittany Beall. Coach is going to get us ready, get us hyped up for the SWAC tournament, and we're going to find out, what we can look forward to, and take a look at what the award season might look like. We got some thoughts. And so we'll talk to Coach about the season and just all the intricacies of it, and we'll go from there. So get your questions in the chats. Let's go. Coach Beall coming up on the other side of the break. You're watching the ONG Strike Zone right here on the Black College Sports Network. We shall be back in just a moment.
Planning an event? From weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural tastes, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Bryan, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
They weren't ready. I wasn't ready. They got me thrown off. Coach Beall, I wasn't ready. I'm sorry, Coach. I'm sorry. Hey, welcome back to the show. Our East Division winning head coach of our FAMU softball team, Brittany Beall. Coach, how you doing, Coach? What's good? What's good? You got you on mute. You're on mute, Coach.
Okay. I'm doing good. How are you guys? Sorry.
Doing good, Coach.
Good, Coach. Good to see you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Yes, indeed. Wow. I got to ask, hold on. First off, whose idea was it to come up with that chant? Because that's new this year. And I love it. I mean, you talk about getting hype. And that video was from like early in the season, but I got a feeling it has carried on all year.
Yeah, I think that's a tradition. That's a FAMU softball tradition. So that's not new. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It happens early before the plate meeting. So if you get there after the plate meeting or the lineup calls, then you probably wouldn't have heard it.
All right. Well, I appreciate FAMU Athletics for recording it and giving us that great little intro video that we can run anytime we get ready to talk softball going into a segment. I love it. Well, Coach, man, what a good win over the weekend up at Alabama State. Win 2 out of 3. I gotta ask, the first game was it was called. Well, explain the first game, because we were up 6-0 when the weather delayed, but did it not become official and it had to be replayed? Is that how that worked out on game 1?
Yes, there was a bunch of lightning in the area, and we were playing obviously on the softball field. Baseball was playing. I think they were playing, I want to say Southern on the baseball field right across the street. I mean, it's just the weather happened, and I think we kind of I think we called it too early, and I'm gonna say that just because we were up at that particular time. And as athletes, we have finals. Both teams have finals this week. So we had to make sure we take that into account, but then also not knowing the weather, what it was going to do, rain, continue to lightning, but it just drizzled a little bit. And just to kind of be on the safe side, Coach P with the tarp, taking the tarp on, taking the tarp off, we decided to halt it and then started the next day, but that made us stay in Montgomery an extra day. So we actually stayed there until Sunday. Alabama State was gracious enough to, wash our clothes, excuse me. And so we came back Sunday after the game 3. So that's what happened.
Nice. All right. Well, we knew going into that series we only needed to win one to win the East again, but obviously you want to win every series that you can. Just talk a little bit about the emotions of that series and just the focus of that what you've seen from this team down the stretch. I mean that even going back to that Jackson State series on the road. And then this one on the road, just a big series, and this team just continues to find ways to win.
Yeah, I think for us that game and having the game stopped at the raining point is how I want to say how our season's been going. If we do lose a game in a series, it's probably that first game of that series. And then I think it's a little wake up call like, hey, we got to get this going. So I think the momentum was on our side this weekend for sure. And I think at the same time, when we played Alabama State earlier on in the year, we dropped that first game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in Jackson State, we dropped that first game too. So I think it's just kind of like, okay, we got to get it together. So the thing I love about this team the most is that they just never give up. And that's what we've been talking about all season is trying to make sure that we finish strong and execute when we have those opportunities. So, after we came back and we gave up 6 runs to start, that to finish that first game, I saw a little change in attitudes and not to say the attitudes were bad, you know what I mean? It was just a little bit more focusedness. And we kind of went into the next game and say, okay, we got to get it together. So I think those experiences, I would say, has helped us along the way. And as you get further along in the season, scores are going to get closer. And that's something that you'll probably see in the SWAC, because everybody's going to bring their best for the tournament. So scores aren't going to be, 10-1 or, 8-2. They're going to be close because everybody's playing their best ball. And so this is where you're going to see the grit, the grind, and the hustle, especially from our team. We practiced this evening, and I know we have a lot of stuff going on as far as you got graduation, you got pinning ceremonies, you have, just family coming in town. And then, they're really diving into their studies, trying to make sure that they're finished, strong academically so that we can perform, athletically. So I think just trying to make sure that we stay focused and get our reps when we need to get our reps and just kind of hound in on the small things that we need to do as a team.
All right, go ahead, Kelvin.
Coach, I know you're in the middle of, you're trying to close out the season with the, success in the tournament and going to the NCAA tournament. However, this is season number 1. By all accounts, it's a very successful season. You won the conference, your side of the conference, and you won it by 3 or 4 games, Just talk about the journey from the beginning of the season to now and, everything that went into, the team being successful.
Okay, so then my very first day was October 1st. And then within that week, I had practice and I had a game on Friday. So I started on Monday, had a game on Friday for fall ball. So coming into the season, I kind of did my little research. I would get on, the website and see who was this and who was that. I even watched the whole SWAC championship game from last season on YouTube. So I was trying to do my homework that I needed to do behind the scenes just to kind of get prepared to what I was going to face. But I think being here, and I know for the first 3 weeks, I was by myself with the GA Naya Morgan. And so her and I hadn't had a complete staff, I didn't have any staff. So it was just her and I just trying to make sure that we were kind of putting the pieces to the puzzle together for the fall. The workouts were going already before I got here. So, coming into this season, I knew what I needed to do as a coach, as far as just trying to put my little spin to things, but not try to change who they were as a team prior. And I know that as we have gone down the road and tried to progress within our season, they have kind of molded and shaped in who they were as a team and our culture. So I feel like the journey, it started October 1st and it hasn't stopped since. And just to be around these girls, every day is different too. They're funny. They can have a sense of humor. They can get rowdy. They can have attitudes. But we told them at day one when we started, it's not about what you do now, it's what you do in the end. And we talked about expectations, and we talked about how we wanted as a team to not just win SWAC. Like, that is, to us, is that an important piece of the puzzle? Absolutely. But that's not the be all do all. We want to shock the world. We want to make sure that we go to the NCAA tournament and we want to win games. And then we just been trying to build and build and build and build on that part. And I think at the beginning, the girls are like, SWAC. Because we asked all of them, what do you want to achieve as a team? And a lot of them said SWAC. And then I said, well, why can't we take it further than that? Like, you guys were there last year. You were there, and I take nothing from the team last year because I think they worked extremely hard, obviously. But I said, okay, that part of the puzzle, or that part, that step has already been met. Let's go past that step. So just winning the SWAC is not going to be enough for us. And we're just going to try to build on that season after season. We want to make sure that we make a run in the NCAA tournament, or in the first round of NCAAs. We want to make it to the supers. We want to make it to Oklahoma City. That's what we want to do. So I think just kind of trying to enforce that. And I think day by day and game by game, they're seeing like, hey, we can do this. When we went to play at University of Florida, we took a game from Western Michigan. And then we also competed with Troy really well. We actually competed with Florida really well up until probably about maybe the 5th or 6th inning. So we got the puzzles. It's just a part about execution and just finishing strong.
All right, Coach. And let me follow up with talk about your, you mentioned that you didn't have your full staff in the fall. Talk about the job your staff has done and shot them out this spring.
They're doing a good job. I keep them on their toes. So I am definitely one of those ones where we're not slacking. And that's something that we've done in the beginning of the season, just making sure that we had weekly coaches meetings in the beginning of the week. And I would say for the first part of February, it was more of things that we needed to do as coaches. So I made sure, and we had uncomfortable conversations about what we needed to bring to the table. And it was, I broke it down, and they told me things that I needed to work on. So we have an understanding that, hey, if it's not working, we got to change it. And like I said, we sat down and we wrote down, hey, this happened this time. We can't have this happen next time. And we just kept building and building and building. So I think amongst us as a whole, we understand what we need and what we're good at and how we can best benefit our players. Because at the end of the day, we're all in this together. And that's something that I told the girls yesterday. We're in this together from 10 toes down. Like, we are in this together. So if one fall, we all fall. And so I just tried to make sure that our coaches understood that, and so that it can be shown, obviously, to our players.
Love it.
Let's kind of forward before we get into individually talking about some of the players, Coach. I want to make sure that we again let people know that the SWAC Softball tournament begins on May 6th. Shout out to May 6th, great day by the way. Through May 10th at the Gulfport Sportsplex in Gulfport, Mississippi. So encourage Rattler Nation to head out there. And then we kind of see the final standings. And of course, with the tournament format, you get 4 East, 4 West. I believe they're still running that format. So, we would by the, obviously the bracket is not official just yet. I don't know if anybody's still playing games this weekend as sort of makeups. Have you heard, or are they doing any makeups this weekend?
So actually the West, so you can see the top 4 in the East have 24 games. So we all have our games. Actually Southern and Grambling played, they had 3 games that they needed to make up. They played 2 today. So Grambling beat them twice. And they'll play 1 more game tomorrow. And then Southern also has a game they need to play, 1 game against Arkansas Pine Bluff. So it's just right now we could potentially play Grambling. We could potentially play Arkansas Pine Bluff, because again, if Grambling wins, that would put them at 11 and 13.
Right.
And then so they would need to sweep Southern in order to solidify their fourth place. If they lose, they'll be coming 10-14. Yeah. And then if Arkansas Pine Bluff beats Southern, then they'll be 10-14. So I don't know. I haven't really I don't know who would. It would be a two-way tie. I don't know how they would break the tie. I don't know, but runs against. But
a lot of stuff happening there.
So that's a toss-up, and so we won't know unless Grambling, like I said, wins tomorrow. So it's just right now. I think we obviously are in a good spot because we don't have to make up any games to have to conflict with graduation and finals. But Southern and Grambling, and I'm probably sure Arkansas applying, but they're in that situation. So it's just a tough time right now because you want to be there celebrating and they want to do all those things, but it's hard, the focusness and juggling the two. So we'll see tomorrow if Grambling wins. If they don't, then we have to wait until obviously Saturday to see who wins between Southern and Arkansas Pine Bluff.
It's good to be able to kind of sit back and watch everybody else figure out their seeding and positioning as they fight for that last two spots into the tournament.
Not on my scouting, because then I need to. They got to get. They got to get it together because I can't be scouting 5, 6, 7 teams that could potentially be there. But
that's true. That's true.
That's the hard part because that's something that we do a good job of. So I'm just trying to, get our itinerary together for a week long and just trying to make sure we do the things that we need to do on our end to make sure that we have a successful trip and we have a focusedness and everything that goes into that.
And again, just to let people know, the graphics are through, that schedule is through today because I clipped this, even though it says through 4/22, it actually through today.
Yeah, that's the current. Yeah, that's current with the 2 games that Grambling played today. So that's current.
Because I pulled this right before we went live. So do you know what's the schedule in terms of when do you guys depart? When will you all leave? Are you still working on that? Will it be Sunday?
So we will leave. I'm looking up at my calendar. So we'll leave on the 4th, and we'll get down there. We're going to make a few stops along the way to do some things that we need to do. And then we will get down to Mississippi Sunday late afternoon. We are scheduled to practice Monday morning. So at that time, like I said, I haven't been to Gulfport, so I like to kind of visualize and walk around and see and throw the ball off the backstop, see how the outfield is shaking, and that way the girls are prepared. And some of the older, returning girls can be able to help out the freshmen. But at the same time, it just gives us a little peace of mind of understanding what field conditions we're working with. The field is turf. So that's an advantage to us because I think we are the only team in the SWAC that has a turf field. So we know how the balls play off the ground. And then, again, we play Tuesday at 3:30 against potentially Grambling or Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Right. Okay. Good question here from Corinthian. Kind of following up, you maybe talked about a little bit of it, but what maybe other than some things that you just mentioned, what are you expecting in the tournament? This being your first year,
I'm expecting from our team. I'm not expecting anything from anybody else because at that point, if you have ever seen me in the game, I'm pretty much locked in. So I'm expecting us to do big things. I think just kind of reiterating those things in practice about the importance of being on the stage, and this is what we've been working for all season. And today we had a few alumni from the Coach Wiggins era come and talk to the girls today and just give them some words of encouragement about, history and, how they won the MEAC and just allowing the girls to sometimes, or our players, to hear it from somebody else other than their coaches. So they can understand the history and how important it is to represent FAMU. So I think, are locked in. I know we are locked in, and we understand we have to bring our A game. We do not want to get in the loser's bracket because we don't want to play any extra games more than we have to. But just understanding that now all the puzzles are coming together. So I think expectations, fans, I'm expecting, the fans on both sides to be rowdy. I'm expecting our opposing teams to bring their best, but we're going to bring our best even better. So I'm excited. I'm super excited to be there and be in that space, and just to see the excitement of the team's face when we would compete. And I mean, I don't know what else to say. I'm excited. I wish everybody could come.
Nice. Have you looked at the bracket layout just in general? I know in Kelvin.
Yeah, I have it on my board. I had Nia Morgan today. I gave her the bracket, and so she laid it all out. So she got boxes and checks and everything. And one of the girls came into my office and said, "You might as well just put us on the championship because that's what we gonna do." So, like I said, we trust me. I've already seen who we're gonna play, the second game, the third game, and yeah. We're prepared on that part.
It sounds like a vision board, Coach. I love that. It sounds like a vision board, if nothing else. But
I wish I could show y'all what it looks like.
Don't do that. It's all good. I'm gonna take your word on it. I can see it. My question, though, Kelvin, back me up here, because I remember last year we talked about the format of the tournament. Do you like what you see in terms of from your seeding? Do you like the opportunity in terms of the game times and things that like that? Are there any things that advantages, disadvantages? And I know this is your first year and looking at it, but as you look at it, I don't know if this is something that you even concern yourself with, but is there anything in there that you look at the formatting and say, well, I got to ask and wonder why we do it this way and not this way?
The only thing I would have a question is why are we playing, home and away, 6 times, and then we have to see each other again in, the conference tournament. So I know baseball does it differently. I just wish that we as softball could do it differently, just because, it's hard to beat a person, 9 times, I mean, let alone 6 times from 2 sweeps. I mean, that's tough. So I think initially that's the only concern. I don't mind the 4 and 4, 4 from the East, 4 from the West, because I think that's a good matchups. But I think the beginning, seeing everybody twice, I would love to have seen people in the West. That's the thing. I played people in the West and have people come here. And I know, like, when I went to Auburn, so every year SEC. But we didn't play every team. We didn't play all the teams in the SEC. Sometimes you would rotate. So, sometimes one year we wouldn't play Tennessee, but we would play LSU. We would play, same thing with Florida. We would, go across the board. But I just, and we do rotate. I think we played Mississippi Valley, once, and then we played Jackson once. But I think Jackson played, Mississippi Valley once, but they played like Bethune twice. So it's just kind of how it changes. But that's the only thing that I would want to bring up, if I ever have a chance to bring up, is trying to make sure that we play teams from the West and then just playing them once and then just rotating, the home and away for the next seasons.
I forgot about that. We don't even play we don't play all 5 opponents from the East twice. So that's even that's in itself even unique and different from the baseball schedule, which they play everybody except one opponent. So they end up with 30 conference games.
And I think it may be financially, but at the same time, if baseball can do it, and they have probably twice as many people on the roster than softball, then I don't see why we couldn't do that as well.
All right, so we know if that question gets put on the table in a coaches meeting, we kind of get a feel for what side you might be saying, or how does everybody feel about playing everybody. We know where you might be voting. Go ahead, Kelvin, get in there with some questions.
Coach, I'm just wondering, some coaches are different and they approach tournament play different. Are you going to kind of roll? You've been successful with what you're doing. Do you plan on making some adjustments, or you kind of, without giving too much away, or do you kind of line them up and see where they fall?
I mean, our approach is going to be the same. It's just, but we're going to make sure that I don't want to say we're not going to change anything. No, we're going to make sure. We're going to do our scattering report like we always do. We're going to make sure that we prepare the way that we always do. So, I mean, at this point, changing, is one of those things where we're females and, sometimes we don't like change, which is obviously important. But I mean, nothing changes. Nothing changes. Just the importance of the game changes, of course.
Right.
But as far as our game day approach, as far as our practices, we're making sure that we get enough reps. We're still doing those things the same. But again, just locked in, because like I tell the girls, embrace the moment. Be where your feet are, because this is something that they love to do. So go out there and just do it.
I know this is something for once the season is over, but also since you talked about some things, because I know there'll be a softball meeting with the coaches, and you were talking about maybe the scheduling adjustment. I'm not sure what the advantage. There should be some kind of benefit for winning the conference, winning the East, like maybe a day off, or we don't have to play the first round, something like that. So, when you get a chance to the voice, I think that's something you should bring up.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm sure Angie's watching somewhere on here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some individual performances, because I know, Coach, you're not going, you're going to beat your own drum. We're going to pat you on the back and tell you that if you're not Coach of the Year, I'm going to drive to Gulfport, Mississippi, and I'm going to yell at people on my birthday, and I'm just going to take Tuesday off. And when you see me in Gulfport, Mississippi, you're like, why is Bryan here? I took off to come fuss at some folks. So I'm speaking it into existence that you should be the SWAC Coach of the Year. But in terms of some of the performances, let's kind of talk about some of the, I'm just kind of looking at some of the statistics here. Zoriana Hughes and Amari Brown, right now, two in conference games. And I don't know what's your take on this. What should SIDs and coaches be voting for when it comes to these? Should they be looking at the conference statistics, or should they be looking at the overall statistics, if I can get that word out?
I mean, I think probably conference, just because I see the benefits of looking at the whole picture. But at the same time, I know who we played in February, but I also know who other people played in February too.
Right.
And not to throw no shade, but when we played Texas A&M twice.
That's all right. We will later, Coach. Don't worry.
When we played, Florida State, Southeastern Louisiana, we played. And I know some of those, ERAs are kind of in that bunch, which I think we did fairly well. I think we walked a little bit of people in the beginning, and that was just more of kind of strategy of not taking the home run over the fence. But at the same time, I think it just, I don't know. I don't want to speak. I don't know. Because then you go to some of these schools and they have to do the official game score. Then you see balls hit and you saying that's a hit, that's an error. I'm like, oh man, so I'm not saying that some of the others, stats may be a little skewed, but it is what it is. We can't control that. And I think and that's something that maybe the SWAC office can even check into, as far as having, official scorekeeper that may, rotate per. I don't even know how they would even do that, because I know that would cost more money and more, arms and hands. But it's important, because that's how you're going to get the true depiction of, what's a hit, what's an error. And the same thing with, walks. I mean, you can't really skew the walks, but the hits and the errors. I think that's going to show you the ERAs and all those things. So I think that's just my 2 bit. I mean, I'm not saying nobody does it, but it's just it's different. It's different.
It is. Well, Zoriana right now, number 2 in conference only statistics with a 1.29 ERA. And then Amari Brown is 4th in the conference with a 1.57 ERA. And then in terms of, which I think this is an interesting stats, outside of wins, right now, when I go to wins, Zoriana is tied for the second most wins in the conference with 8, 1 behind the leader. But opposing batting average, Amari Brown leads the conference with an opposing batting average of 1.78. So my question for you, Coach, is you go and then look, you go in with a strong 1-2, and I'm gonna let you figure it out, and we're gonna watch who gets 1, who gets 2. I'm not even gonna ask you, but you have a strong 1-2, and then you got Samantha Smith. Samantha has pitched well all year. Talk a little bit about the pitchers and what kind of confidence that gives you and what it allows this team to be able to do when you have 3 very good pitchers on the roster like what you have.
I think it helps defensively wise because all of our infielders and outfielders had their backs no matter what. I know we got this weekend was a perfect example. I mean, Sam pitched a great game that last game. I mean, just really, really, she locked in. She pitched a great game. And it got towards the 7th inning, and the umpire was squeezing her. I mean, he started just squeezing. And so it got to the point where like we just needed to have a switch, and I looked, Amari's on, I think this happened in 6th inning, but Amari's on shortstop. And I'm like, okay, if I pull Amari off, then I got to have her go warm up, and then Braxton got to go to short. And then, but what if I, put her back in, then what's going to happen? All these different variables that come into that. And Zoe wasn't feeling her best that day. So, I got in the huddle and I looked around, and as a coach, these are the things that you want to hear. My senior, I think it was Brianna Duggan. She said, listen, coach, she got this. Let her get this out. And then Amari's going to go back in that bullpen. She's going to pitch and we going to be good. And I looked at her, and I think that's where a turning point where I have to understand, like, these girls, I don't say girls, these young women, they got it. They got it. And so she said, coach, she got it. So I said, okay. All right, I'm putting it in your hands. And so, Sam said, I got this. And she forced a pop-up. We were able to switch inning, and then Amari came in, and she did a great job. So it was just to see that as a coach and to know that they felt confident. They felt confident that Sam was going to do her job. They feel confident that Zoe is always going to do her job. And, Amari is she's just an athlete. Like, Amari is by far one of the sweetest girls on the team. I say it's something about those JUCO girls because, she's probably the last one cleaning up. She'll carry, she'll do everything that she needs to do on the field. And I think having them be behind each other. And sometimes Amari's not on, and then Zoe is on. Sometimes Zoe is not on, and then Sam is on, and sometimes Sam's not on, and Zoe is not on. So having them complement each other, and we work them hard in practice. Today we did some live pitching, and we were like, hey, you got to hit your spots. You got to do this. So we're still challenging them, even though they're the best pitching staff in the SWAC. We are still making sure that we hold them accountable each and every day that they step on the field. So, they understand that, and they know that we're going to challenge them, but at the same time, they know that the defense is going to help them. So I tell the offense all the time, you got to be able to help your pitchers because pitching is something that I could never do. So I'm not even going to sit up here and say that because that's hard. That's hard. And the focusness, and if you pitch balls at the balls, snatched out, the mental part of it. I know Amari and Sam have to come back to bat, and even Zoe has gotten some at bats this year as well. So I think coming into the SWAC tournament, I think we're going to be prepared. Do I know who's going to pitch the first game? No. But again, that's going to really depend on, the team that we play and how we match up.
Gotcha. And remind everybody, what position did you play again at Auburn? I
played outfield and a little bit of second base. In high school, I played shortstop, but, I had the speed, so I went to the outfield.
Gotcha. Somebody in the chat had asked a question about the old days, and did you play with a pitcher named Brittany Day?
Yes, that's my best friend.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, that's my best friend. I was just with her on Monday night. So she was in my wedding. If I didn't have her, if we didn't have each other, we probably wouldn't have made it at Auburn. So that was my roommate for 4 years. I mean, that's my girl. So, yeah.
All right. Good stuff. Let's talk about behind the plate. We've seen, I don't know. I think we got another newcomer. I'm just calling out predictions here, Coach, for players of the year awards. I think we have another newcomer of the year, Amari Brown. I think we definitely have a few first team all SWAC people, but shout out anybody that you would like to in terms of the hitting. Like who, if I had to ask you, whose hitting has improved over the season, and then maybe somebody whose hitting has maybe just been so consistent that when you need a hit, okay, she's coming up to the plate, we're gonna get a hit.
I think Sierra Maple for SWAC for sure. She started off a little slow in February and beginning part of March. But SWAC, she's been consistent. I think this weekend I think this is probably the first weekend she didn't do as best as she has been in the past at the plate. And she actually played for me when we were at UCF. So in that number one spot, she understands. And just by knowing her, she kind of knows, I can say something in my head and she knows what I mean. So we just have that kind of relationship because we've been together for so long. Jamison Townsend has been, solid for us. She's been at number 1. She's been at number 3. She's been at number 2. And you talk about a true competitor. That's definitely Jamison Townsend. And she's also in the Army too. So she has a lot of discipline between juggling, softball, Army. She's in Army Reserves and also, her academics. So she's another one. Kiana Watson, she has really stepped up. And the beginning of the season, she was hitting number 9, and then she's kind of solidified that 2 role for us. And she's hitting long balls, slapping, putting bunts down. So I've seen a tremendous growth in her within this season. Who else? Amara, has been lights out, offensive, defensive for us. Lexi Spooner, she's been for the last week. She's come up huge for us with home runs and just doubles. And she's another, a JUCO girl that I would love to have a lot of them on the team, just because she's very humble. Her and Amari are by far the most humble players that we have right now. Brianna Duggins, she's solid too for us. I think she had a double this weekend, but she's been solid and even at first base for us. And who else? Braxton coming off the bench. She's good. Naraya has, these last 2-3 weeks, and that's one of the things that I love about Naraya is that we had bases loaded this weekend and she slaps. And as a coach, you probably sometimes you want a big hitter coming up just to drive the ball in the outfield. But she smoked 2 balls down the line, up the middle, to score some runs. So it's just one of those things where each person on the team has made a benefit at some point within the season. Even you had, who else? We have Delisha DeLesson, and you also have Anaya Canty. Anaya Canty has been playing by far the best defense at third base. And if she don't win SWAC, I'm going to be upset too, because Anaya Canty made some plays at third base that I hadn't seen in a long time. So it's good to see. It's good to see that a lot of pieces to the puzzle are coming together, and it's just not one person. Every time it's somebody different. So that's a fun part of it.
All right, good stuff. Kelvin, give you the last any last questions or anything you want to get in there for Coach?
No questions, man. Good luck, Coach. And we're excited, and thank you and the young ladies and the staff for what you've done thus far. We look forward to supporting you as y'all move forward.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Give a shout out to the graduates. I know there's at least a couple graduates I believe that are walking this weekend. You want to mention them? Take a second.
So we got Samantha Smith, Brianna Duggins, Kiana Watson. We have Kayla Alexandra and then Kayla Aldrich. So we got 5 that are graduating. Some are going on to nursing school. I know Kiana is, I'm going to say this wrong, a cardio respiratory therapist.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And Samantha is actually going to finish her, she's going to graduate, but then she's also going to finish her vet tech. I know Brianna is going to do an accelerated nursing degree at JU next year. Kayla Aldrich is still waiting on to see if she's going to get into grad school. And then Kayla Alexander, she's going to do an internship actually with MLB this summer. She wants to kind of work in that field. So we got some smart girls on the team that really have some big admirations within, their career, but then they also are great softball players. So I couldn't be more proud of them and their hard work. And I know that, this is a time that they want to celebrate with their families, as they should, because being a student athlete is something that's hard. So once that is over, though, we ready. We're going to be locked in. So I'm excited for them, and I'm excited for the team. I'm excited to represent FAMU, and we just want to do well for the community and obviously the school.
Well, hey, to all of those young ladies who are graduating, we salute you, and we say congratulations, and we're glad to have you part of the alumni family, and have a great weekend. Enjoy it, and then when Sunday morning rises, we're back to focus. We focus. We on a mission, Coach. And so I know everybody is. I know everybody in the chats definitely rooting for you, supporting you, keep you prayed up, and excited to see. Of course, if that departure, I don't know if there's any big send-offs or anything. I don't know if you guys are leaving super early in the morning or anything, but pay attention. FAMU athletics, whether it be on social media. Make sure you are locked in, because I'm sure if there is a big send-off or something, I'm sure the athletic department will send something out, and we want to encourage everybody to be there to send the ladies off as they get on the bus and head to Mississippi. And then the next time they come back to Tallahassee, it'll be with a trophy when they step off that bus. I'm speaking it into existence, Coach. We're speaking it into existence. Speak it. All right, Coach. Hey, have a great weekend celebrating with your team, the graduates. And congratulations again on the East Division title. And can't wait to see what you guys do in Gulfport, Mississippi.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, Coach. Take care. Thanks up.
All right.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Coach Brittany Beall, ladies and gentlemen.
Championship coach.
Championship coach. Exactly. Well, we racking them up this spring, aren't we?
Yes, sir.
Racking them up.
Ring-a-ling-a-ling.
Yes, indeed. Good stuff. So congrats to Coach. And what up? I see y'all ladies in the background. There you go. So shout out to the softball team. Man, what a fun group, man. I told you, I got a right mind to just take off next week. And just, as Jimmy Mack said, there's a casino down there in Gulfport. I have a good old time. I go watch some softball, hang out at the casino, hopefully, keep some money in my pocket and don't lose it all. But anyway, no, I mean, I got a right mind, Kelvin, to just take off and bolt to Gulfport, Mississippi. But if you're in the area, I want to encourage you guys to get down there again. The softball championships, May 6th through the 10th. And yes, all the games are on the SWAC digital network. I think last year, didn't they have like the championship game on ESPN Plus or something?
I don't recall.
Okay. Well, I know most or majority of the games are on SWAC digital. And hopefully my good friend Charles Edmond will be on the call. He has been on the call previously. So hopefully he'll be calling the games, but it should be good. It was a good tournament, always a good site. I know the Rattler alums in the area will travel, will be there, and so we'll go from there. All right, hey Naya, shout out to Naya Morgan. What up, Iron Woman? There you go. Hey, gotta love it. Friend of the program, always and forever. So hey. Keep them in your prayers and thoughts, and we'll keep you guys posted. I'm sure as the games get ready to kick off, and I think the awards night will be on Monday. So again, I'm making predictions here, Kelvin. Bold predictions. I think we take Coach of the Year, Newcomer of the Year, Fielder of the Year, Player of the Year, Pitcher of the Year, Pitcher of the Year. Is it the 5 categories? 5. Give us, if we don't get at least minimum 4, because they may act kind of funny and say, "Oh, we can't give FAMU all the awards." What will that say? So, but anyway, looking forward to it. So, all right, let's take a break, And let's come back on the other side. We got some news. We got some information to share. Tennis and golf. We know where they will be competing as soon as this weekend, Kelvin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's talk about that. And neither of these trips are far. So plenty of opportunity for Rattler Nation to see our tennis program and our golf program in the NCAA tennis and golf regionals. Right on the other side of this break, you're watching the ONG Strike Zone right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back in just a moment.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Greetings, I'm Kiana Watson.
Hi, I'm Zoriani Hughes.
Greetings, I'm Nia Morgan, and for all things FAMU athletics, check out the Orange and Green Strike Zone
on Wednesdays at the Black College Sports Network.
Go Rattlers!
There we go. There we go. Shout out, ladies, one more time to softball. Kelvin, how you doing tonight? You good?
I'm wonderful, man.
Hey,
I think we got a special guest coming.
Yes. I've sent them the message, and we'll let the people know when that happens here shortly. Any call? And you're not referring to Marcus. Well, I want you to say when you say there's a special guest, I was going to ask you, have you heard from Marcus? Have we seen anything in the chats? Hopefully all is well.
Yeah, hopefully all is well, for real. But no, he's going radio silence.
Okay. All right.
I think we're going to have a counseling.
Oh, no, don't do that. An intervention. Hey, hold on. I was in class. Let me tell you a story. I was in class today trying to talk to my kids about intervention. And it came up just on the process of we were talking about international intervention as we're talking about the beginnings of World War I, right? And so the question came about international intervention, and I had to make sure that they knew what an intervention was. And so they were like, oh. So I had one student who knew what it was, so I had to break it down for him. I said, well, let's just imagine if you were at home and you were doing some things that you weren't supposed to be doing, and all of a sudden your parents and maybe your aunts or uncles and somebody are all in a group setting talking to you about things that you should not be doing. That would be called an intervention. And I had a couple go, oh yeah, I've had one of those. I said, oh my gosh. I said, I didn't want to go too deep in it, but a couple, light bulbs went off. So I can say it was a good day when you start breaking stuff down. You know, sometimes you got to break down certain words because they look at you with this blank stare like, I don't know what an intervention. And, you know, I didn't want to assume that they knew. So I had to sort of, you know, and like I said, thankfully I had one student who knew what intervention was. And so then we just were able to kind of move forward. But boy, I tell you, teaching like a box of chocolates, boy, teaching high school students, you never know what you're going to get. So yeah.
How many years you've been doing it?
Well, this is like, I would say this is my 6th year at my school, but this is the first year where I can say I've had a full load of 4 to 5 classes with all high school students. So, and it was something that, you know, they brought it to me and I was kind of eager to do it, just to be more involved with the high schools students, just because in the previous years, I'd kind of been on the side and I would always hear stories about stuff going on in high school. So I was more like the relief counselor. My room was the room that they would tell me everything. Like I didn't even have to talk. I could just be quiet and listen. And they would just talk about any and everything. And sometimes I had to be like, hey, that's not appropriate. Let's not do that. but they felt comfortable just spilling everything out in my room because I guess my room was sort of away from the main building. So they could just come into my room and just
safe space.
Yeah, safe space. One of those safe spaces. Man, I learned so much about my kids, but I had a great relationship with those who graduated now the last couple of years. But yeah, so that's kind of what pushed me to it.
Okay.
All right, let's kind of talk a little bit about some of the news that we have learned. Let's first talk about tennis, because we did find out that our women's tennis team is taking part, they're participating in the Athens Regional this weekend. Matter of fact, Friday. So again, the Athens Regional, as it says, is being hosted right there at the University of Georgia. The Georgia Bulldogs are hosting the regionals in the at the Dan McGill Tennis Complex. They hosted it 2 years ago when we also won the SWAC and we traveled up to play. I think it was Georgia, didn't it? Who we played 2 years ago?
Yes.
Okay. What I find interesting as I look at the statistics, obviously we're, you know, if it's a 4-team regional, I don't even think it's double elimination. It's just, you know, one game, one match, and best of 7. And as you can see, Georgia Tech and Iowa are also in this regional. And I just look at the records, Kelvin, and you know, I kind of always, I know we're competing in the SWAC, and so we're going to be perceived as a lower rated conference. But you look at the records, and just, that's all I can say. You know, we have just as many, or however you want to word it, just as few losses as Georgia Tech and Iowa, who are obviously opposite of Georgia, who's had a great season, winning the SEC this year. So any thoughts that you want to share there?
Well, yeah, of course, it's a challenge. Georgia has been playing for the national championship for like 30 years. They've been hosting for like 30 years. They're like one of the true blue bloods in terms of tennis. So, you know, it's a extreme challenge. But you know, we're just looking for the young ladies to go in and compete.
Yeah, Definitely. And so I believe the matches and yeah, Kenya, I agree 100 with that sentiment. Exactly. I'd love to be able to see us be able to build something like that and notice the stands where they are. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm looking at well, you brought out a lot of good points. Though the games will be broadcast, I believe, on ESPN Plus. I was trying to look at the sheet there. I put a link there, Kelvin, so I don't know if it will be on ESPN Plus, but it probably will be because I think that's what it was aired on last year or 2 years ago, right? It was on ESPN Plus. So I don't know. Anybody in the chat, you can add in and let me know as well. So we'll get a chance to see. We'll get a chance to see that in a second. And then the other bit of news we got related to the NCAA is that our golf program, our golf team, they will be a part of the Tallahassee Regional. Look at that. Right in our backyard, hosted by Florida State. Florida State will be hosting the regional. The regionals will be May 12th through the 14th at Seminole Legacy. Have we, one of the questions I got, Kelvin, have we played there before? Are we a course we're familiar with, unfamiliar with?
So I'm pretty sure we're familiar with. It's literally right around the corner from us, near the airport. But and Florida State, the Florida State golf course has been redone by, of course, Jack Nicklaus, and so whose grandson went to Florida State.
Okay.
O'Leary, who was a tight end on the football team. But yeah, so it's one of the premier college-owned courses. So it's no surprise they're hosting. Plus, they have a top 5 team and one of the top players in the country. So it all makes sense. But yeah, it's a beautiful course, and the good thing is our guys get to, stay at home and having pretty much minimum costs. And Rattler Nation, we get a chance to actually, support them. So I love it. I'm pretty sure coach is pretty happy about, as well as the team is pretty happy about playing there.
Yeah. Again, we are one of 14 teams competing in this. The admission is free. So, like I said, Kelvin talking about, we get an opportunity, Rattler Nation in Tallahassee. Again, the 12th is, I believe, that's a Monday. So that's a Monday. That's a Monday through Wednesday tournament. So, calling our local Rattlers, the 850, take some time off. Take some time off and go watch some college golf at Seminole Legacy. Admission is free. So basically the format is there are 14 teams. Florida State is actually the 2 seed. Well, the second ranked team in this regional. They are ranked 10th in the nation. Ole Miss is the number 1 seeded team in the region. They're ranked 4th in the nation. Also in this region is San Diego State, who's ranked number 18 in the nation. And then you have schools such as Georgia, Louisville, Northwestern, Notre Dame, New Mexico, Southern Cal, Michigan State, Furman, Augusta, and Davidson. And then, of course, yours truly, Florida A&M. And the rules, top 5 teams advance to the NCAA championships, which will be at Carlsbad, California, at the Omni La Costa Resort, May 23rd through the 28th. So big time opportunities. Big time opportunities. All right. Anything you want to add there regarding golf, Kelvin, before we get ready to bring in our special guest?
No, not at all, man. I'm just looking forward to, again, the guys going out there and competing.
All right. Well, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we always love it when we get the call, and we got the call from our AD, none other than our VP of Intercollegiate Athletics, Mrs. Angela Suggs. AD Suggs, how you doing tonight? Welcome back to the O&G Strike Zone.
I'm well. Thank you so much. How are you all?
Doing wonderful, Angie.
We are celebrating winners on this Wednesday, second consecutive Wednesday. We've had a chance to celebrate winners. Last week we had on Coach Rice and Coach Nikki, and this week we had Coach Beall. So, congratulations to you as well for three SWAC titles under your belt. How's that feel, AD Suggs?
It feels great, but at the end of the day, it's about the coaches that we're bringing in, right? God saw fit that my first selection would be softball, where he kind of laid the path for us that softball was what we were into as a family, right? Even before I knew that I would be coming into this space. And so with it, bringing in Coach Beall, just the spirit of excellence and championship fortitude that she also always exuded in terms of what she brought when she came to us is what we knew she would bring coming in. I spoke with the ladies 2 nights ago, and I shared with them that their resiliency, right, in terms of coming in. I shared with them that I'm a parent of a softball player, and we went through something similar with our daughter in terms of 2 days before we were moving her in. Her coach got an opportunity that she could not turn down, and for her it was 10 days. And so for our young ladies, it was more than 10 days, kind of feeling that from an empathetic standpoint, coming in and that being the first hire that I would have some sort of impact toward, and looking at what we would be able to accomplish, bringing Coach Beall on board at the time that she was coming in, because while it was 10 days for our daughter, it was more so like 2 months for our team. And so that was something that was definitely heavy on my heart. Coach Beall coming in with the skill set that she did, and them being able to come and commandeer the East in winning that championship is something that I shared with them just last night, right? That's something to be said for. And that we're super excited for them as they then go and take that extra sacrifice in terms of preparation for next week. So yeah, we're good. We're good. It's been great. All of our coaches, and I've said this before, that the coaches that we have, the 9 coaches for our 14 sports, they are amazing. They're committed to excellence. They're committed to winning. We are committed to assisting and supporting academic affairs as it relates to graduating student athletes. We're committed to student affairs and Dr. Hudson as it relates to making them into outstanding men and women. However, we also are committed to our charge and our challenge as it relates to winning championships, to put the entire university enterprise on a grand stage to showcase what we're doing in research, what we're doing in all of the other areas, number 81, as it relates to where we stand. But showcase, we know that millions of people, I got calls coming in. Millions of people are able to share what FAMU is through sport.
Nice. Hey, everybody, just don't stop calling AD Suggs at the moment. Give her a few minutes. You can go back to calling AD Suggs in a few minutes. Don't call her now and say, "Hey, you're on the ONG StrikeZone." We know she's on the ONG StrikeZone. Okay, you ain't got to tell her that. You can join the chats. Join the chats on YouTube, Facebook, and then I'll put the message up. All right, just kidding.
Because I am for everyone that's watching, I am doing this from my phone. So yes.
So that's exactly. It's all good. It's all good. Obviously, we just shared the news, the announcement for the regionals for tennis. Tennis going up to Athens again, second year. I think we did it 2 years ago. And then, of course, the news came out today. Golf at the Tallahassee Regionals. I want to give you a chance. Any thoughts and words? Maybe when will tennis be departing for Athens? Obviously their first match is Friday, so I'm assuming it's coming soon if they haven't already.
Right.
And then any news, anything you just want to share regarding tennis and golf?
So tennis will be leaving tomorrow. Golf will be here at home, and that's good for the budget. But at the same time, as we win, right, we want to be able to ensure championship success, and so you will be hearing more from us as it relates to the ongoing support as it relates to, because the expectation should be that we're going to win. And we want to be able to budget that success, right? Not just budget what we've been budgeting and to make sure that we're doing what we can do, but knowing that we will win, right? So as it relates to golf and other sports that show themselves, when we win, that's an additional expense. We know that graduation is this weekend. Commencement is this weekend. Well, guess what? Our teams, as they continue to win, particularly tennis, golf, softball, baseball, track and field, outdoor, they will remain on campus. So that's an additional lodging cost. That's an additional, in terms of meals costs. And then as we win, they want rings, right?
That's right.
So we
That's
don't want
right.
to come to you as it relates to rings after they win. We want to budget that ahead of the fact, because that should be the expectation. And so we should budget for success. And that's what we're looking to do. Again, we're continuing to build what we're looking for. Thank you to everyone in terms of your support as it relates to our future success in terms of Rattler basketball. We know that the NCAA settlement is showcasing itself and that it will happen, but when we're still keeping our eyes on that. And that means our revenue generating sports. And so for FAMU, that's football, men and women's basketball. And we know that we're on the right path to remain competitive at the Division I level.
Nice. Go ahead, Kelvin. I know we got a lot of questions, but go ahead. I'll let you jump in there with a couple.
Yes. So there was another big announcement that happened in terms of our men's basketball program. And I'm really excited. I love how you move and operate, frankly. But just kind of talk about that process and why, and then why you thought that was a good fit.
Sure. And so we didn't know we would be in this space, right? And but where we are as a Division I program, we've got to be ready for whatever it is that's going to happen, because our student athletes deserve our readiness, right? And so with that, Coach Pat saw an opportunity at Grambling, went there. The portal closed on April 22nd. And so we had a few days to take a look at that. But as I mentioned before, those of us that come into this space, we've got to have an idea, at least, right? Some people call it a short list, but we've got to have an idea about what we will do moving forward. And while he did not necessarily know it, Charlie Ward was definitely on my short list in terms of if I needed to be ready. It's almost like insurance, right? Who's your list going to be and that kind of thing. And I didn't know. And so he is a member of this community, being the Tallahassee community, is coached at Florida High, is definitely on several boards throughout the community, some of which I actually happen to serve on with Tanja Ward. And with that, just gave her a call, talked to her about, wanting to reach out to Coach Ward to see if there was an interest, and then, be able to see how we could turn this around. again, the Ward family, the majority of them, as he mentioned, and I couldn't have bought a better tagline, right? In terms of Coach Ward saying that you may know me as a Seminole, and I learned this the same time that everyone else learned it. But to say that you may know me as a Seminole, but I was born a Rattler,
Cha-ching, bing,
and I
ting,
was born a Rattler as well.
ching.
We couldn't do it any better than that. Coach Ward is an amazing guy. His family, Tanja, and the kids, you know, they are what you would want as it relates to being a first family of a particular revenue generating sport at a Division I program as legendary as the FAMU basketball program and FAMU athletics in general, right? His dad being there, his mom unfortunately was not able to be there, but both of them have been staunch supporters of the FAMU athletics program. When I was there the first go round, having Coach Ward Sr. to come in and introduce Coach Ward Jr. And Coach Ward Jr. even gave support to ADs prior to me, coaches prior to himself. And that's just something that we're super excited about in terms of moving forward.
All right.
It's kind of like Kelvin, kind of like I kind of had a feeling like I had no inside intel, I just had a feeling, I read the room, you read the room that you kind of knew all this. I learned some things though, the various relationships and things, but I told Kelvin, we talked last week that this may be on the scale, and we've got some great coaches. We love our coaches, and you've made some great hires, but I feel like this could become one of those hires that really is transformative because of this, not just the story, but the person, and that's what's really amazing, the level of respect that Charlie Ward has in the athletic world and community. And now he's on a global and national scale. But it's now, the tagline is Florida A&M basketball coach. I mean, you couldn't have put that any better. So, I mean, that is so awesome when you look at it. One of the things that we saw in terms of the contract that we like and that was different compared to previous basketball coaching contracts and hires was not only just the number of years, outside of the old 3, there was a 5-year deal, but also the opportunities to grow within this new world and space of NIL, where there appears to be within the contract terms opportunities to revenue share, as it's called, for lack of a better word. We know that there are certain guarantees that our mid-major program is going to play, but after certain numbers, instead of it being a bonus for the coach, it looks like there's an opportunity to grow NIL opportunities. Can you speak to that and share what you can about that aspect of the contract and the terms?
Sure. And so Coach Ward, in our conversation, definitely wants to make sure that we are able to bring in a great staff, be able to recruit a great staff, but also be able to compete in this new landscape that is upon us. NIL is coming to campuses. NIL, in terms of what we've known it to be, will change pending the NCAA settlement agreement and that kind of thing. And how will we position ourselves and poise ourselves to be successful in this new landscape? The same thing as it relates to possible revenue share opportunities, but then also being able to recruit a great staff that's going to be able to show itself. And so, of course, we've always known that football has been a revenue generating sport. And we say that basketball is, but how then do we invest in that moving forward? And that's what I'm excited to be a part of an opportunity in this way, right? To be able to showcase. The Lawson Center is an amazing arena. As I shared, while it's one of the better, how do we keep that in the forefront? Because what people forget is, just like I think the three of us on this screen think sometimes in our minds that the 90s was 10 years ago, and it was not, right? Can you believe that the Lawson Center in 3 years will be 20 years old? And so with that, as if we were to have a home that's 20 years old, in 20 years, you got to do something to it. So we've got to align ourselves here 3 years out from 20 years of the Lawson Center. What are we going to do over the next 3 years to keep the Lawson Center competitive? Because we have league partners, if you will, league sister institutions that have newer arenas than us. It's kind of like when we thought the Georgia Dome was the newest and greatest. And then, all of a sudden came all of these other venues. And then the Georgia Dome had to become the Mercedes-Benz Dome.
Yep.
And all of that has happened within the same time frame that we've introduced some venues on our campus as well. And that's where we are as we remain to be a voluntary member of the NCAA at the Division I level.
I love the way you emphasize that voluntary portion. Well, explain to people why you say it that way, just in case somebody doesn't understand that.
Yeah, we choose to be a Division I institution.
Okay.
And with that comes some, situation. It's almost like choosing to buy a car or choosing to buy a certain home. And in our situation, we are we need to be a $18 to $20 million home. And in that $18 to $20 million home, it requires maintenance that's different from a $500,000 home or a $200,000 home. If you got a $20 million home, $15 million home, $13 million home, which is what we are now, the property taxes are higher, the utility bills are higher, everything is higher about living in a $13 million home versus something different from $13 million. And that's just where we are. Again, when we say voluntary member, and we love it, right? But guess who else is a voluntary member? Bethune-Cookman. Right? All the other institutions in the Southwestern Athletic Conference are also voluntary members. We looked at, and I'll share this, we looked at, as we looked at salaries and everything else, Coach Ward shared that he wanted to make sure that we were able to bring in a quality staff, right? And so he understood what that meant from a budgetary perspective. And so we are going to bring in that quality staff. But at the same time, as I mentioned in the press conference, I rode back on the bus with them from Huntsville. And we got back in here at 7:15 in the morning. I went to a 8:30 senior leadership meeting. I did that myself, right? And so that was just one trip. They have multiple trips where they're expected to do these things. The state statute says, or not state statute, but there is a travel law that says that anything above 5 hours, you can be in the air. So if that's the case for us as employees, that's should be our goal as it relates to our student athletes, in my opinion. So there's that. So if I'm gonna get in trouble with that, then I'm gonna let y'all know that I got for saying that here on the screen and all of that. But I've got to be able to just basically share this information, because Division I athletics is different than it's ever been before. The things that we're going to do above and beyond this settlement is what everyone has done for the first time, and us too, right? And our student athletes deserve it. Things are just different from how they were before. We have 10-month relationships. We have student athletes that already have college degrees, but they still have 2 years of eligibility because they came in. I mean, everyone's coming in with a dual enrollment degree, or they're coming in with hours, or they're coming in, with all of these other situations. And if we do not position ourselves to be modern day, then that's on us.
Kelvin, I don't know if you were going to jump in, but I had something that you just said there as it relates to, and I'm thinking every week there's a new change. There's a different change with the NCAA. Who can you take us behind the scenes? Who is besides yourself, what does that look like for you? Who within the university, who are you consulting with? Who's that team of people? Like when this new news drops, it's like, okay, I've got to share all this new stuff with X, Y, and Z. What does that look like on your end? Because obviously we can't move forward until they figure it out, and all the legal stuff changes every week. The judge says it has to be this, then they come back with this. It changes despite all the media reports that say it's going to be one thing. Can you share a little of the background behind the scenes of what that looks like on your end?
Sure. So the NCAA speaks to, so there's a 5-person, in terms of communication, right? And that's not final, right? But there are 5 people that are listed that get communication. It's the president, is the CEO of the athletics program. And so there is a presidents and chancellors committee that across all leagues. And so in every Division I athletics league, be it the SWAC, the SEC, others, the presidents and chancellors are the leaders of our initiatives, our efforts, our decisions, and what we do, right? And so that's first. And so the presidents, senior woman administrators, the compliance officers, the faculty athletic representatives, the athletic director, and a compliance person. Those are the 5 people that the NCAA communicates with at each institution, right? And so that's where we get it. And that's where the information flows into each institution. And then it's up to each institution to make sure that we have a local effort, right? And that's what I came into, and I've spoken with all of my colleagues, and making sure that we are able to establish a working committee that once the information comes in, then we're able to position ourselves to be successful in whatever changes or whatever continued opportunities that there are. That is a work in progress. That is something that is a priority for me. That is something that we're looking to move forward with. And President Beard is very committed to our success in that way. And that's what we're going to look to moving forward. But there is a strategy. There is a plan. You're right. It does change every day. Brittany Johnson is our senior woman administrator, new deputy AD, and what I am moving forward into creating what will be a chief integrity officer, right? In terms of what we're going to do, in terms of making sure that we are positioned to be successful in the future.
All right. Thank you for sharing that info. Go ahead, Kelvin.
It is so much we can get into, but I'm gonna try to focus mine on something that I'm really passionate about. You're familiar with my background and some of the projects I was actually a part of, but So we have a lot of championship programs, baseball being one, and our facilities don't necessarily represent,
Sure.
the effort that that our coach and our team and our staff puts in. And so I know all this take budgets. You real clear about us giving and so forth, and I appreciate that. And we're gonna continue to beat that drum here. But I was just wondering, in terms of baseball and the other part of the other tennis court, there's some things in play in order to try to, do a few things incrementally to try to, get that up to par. And one thing that I would tell you that we hear a lot on this show, and as people speak to us, is the ability at the baseball, softball, tennis, track venues to be able to have concessions, technology, being able to pay, video boards, that kind of thing. A real PA system, being able to stream those games on Rattler Vision. So just kind of talk about. I know that's a big deal and it's a long term, but just kind of talk about your thoughts on that.
Sure. My thoughts are, and so thank you for ending that in terms of what are my thoughts. My thoughts are that we need an athletics master facilities plan. We need to come in and do an audit on all of our facilities. What's about to break, what's new, what do we need to do, but also what does it need to look like. And so I am working with the idea around that perspective and figuring out not just the fact that we know that we need to remove the troughs from the Bragg Stadium, right? And that's just outdated and it's just crazy. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, what does a championship baseball facility look like? What does a championship softball facility look like? What does whatever future sports that we may bring in, what do those facilities look like? Where will they go? How do they fit into the university master plan? Our championship tennis program, as you mentioned, one side is fixed, the other side is not. But what does it need to look like in totality, right? People say, well, why don't you charge for baseball and softball? Well, if we have 30 and that's just an average, or 25 if that's a low average softball players, once we put a ticket on the gate, that means we need to put player guest tickets on the gate. And then if that means that if it's 25 people and we got 4 guests per player for home contest, and that's 100 players and it's not but 150 seats. What are we doing? Right. And so we've got to plan that all the way out. And I'm looking forward to doing that because they deserve it, right? There are opportunities for us. We have the burn area, also known as the green space in the outfield. How do we manage that? But then over in baseball, we didn't even build it out in that way. So we need to bring in and figure out what our assets are. But we know that the same thing that the fans are saying, for the past 8 years, I was a fan too. Before I was there for the 8.5 years before that, I was a fan before that as well. I too am an alum. Just like all of us on this screen, we want what's going to be best for FAMU athletics. We're going to do this together. But what I want to do is be able to put out something that is visible, something that is well thought out, and something that we can actually achieve in terms of what it will cost for us to achieve it.
Can I add or ask, in order to add that position, does that we start moving into those budgetary needs that you were speaking about in order to be able to add that position? I mean, that has to come from somewhere. whether that be from a university level or an addition to the budget. Is that my understanding, or would that be the understanding of how that something like that would occur?
Well, it again, athletics is supposed to be self-sustaining, and so we just have to figure out a strategic initiative to make that happen.
Okay, so maybe this will be a good follow-up then. In terms of being self-sustaining, we talk about news in college athletics, which happens, and I'm pretty sure you've probably seen the news recently that the University of Kentucky
Yes.
athletics was exploring the idea of becoming a LLC so that
Right.
they could become that own self-sufficient. What is, and I don't know how far or how deep you have looked into it. I mean, in terms of what they plan to do, but how does something like that work within the university structure? And with our state, could something like that work in our state of Florida?
Sure. So it could work. I just came from a P3, so I came back. Florida Sports Foundation is a P3. And so it's just a matter of us taking a look at if that's something that would work best for us. Is that something that we should do? Is there something similar to that, or what have you? It does exist in the state of Florida. Again, Florida Sports Foundation is a P3. It's a public-private partnership. And so I just came from that for the past 7.5 years. And so it's something worth looking at. I don't know that it's what's best for us, but I don't know that it's not what's best for us. It's just a matter of what we would do looking at that moving forward.
Gotcha. Appreciate that. Let me see. Jimmy, let me go to a couple questions if you don't mind from the chat, because I know folks
don't mind.
have some interesting questions.
Absolutely, dog. I'm gonna always answer your questions, but I'm gonna always tell you the truth.
All right. So Jimmy Mack asks, he says, soccer seems to be a hot topic nowadays. Are you thinking about adding a soccer program in the future?
Soccer is something that we're looking at, particularly with the fact that the SWAC sponsors a soccer championship.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Yeah, women's soccer.
Women's soccer, yeah. Lil Baby asked, and I don't know, you may have hit on this, and what are some things that we should be looking out for with basketball? We saw the sort of the changes to the not only just the scheduling, as it relates to women and men's basketball, but even the floor setup. So with Coach Ward coming in, obviously year 3 under Coach Gordon, what kind of things might we be looking out for related to basketball?
As it relates to basketball, I'm going to go all the way to the end. What we did not communicate maybe as largely as we could have, but we definitely will change moving forward, is that there's a 5-year commitment to Atlanta, us already having served the first year. And so for the next 4 years, the SWAC Championship will be in Atlanta. Of course, the goal is for us to have 2 teams there. And so from a Rattler Nation perspective, how then do we grow that? How then do we make that better? How then do we pour back into our program so that it's something that benefits us at large as we are there in the Atlanta area? Also, in addition to that, with us coming in, and again, we did select and hire a new basketball coach that has strong ties to the local community. And again, we play in the middle of the week. And so we have games on Mondays, we have games on Thursdays, we have games on Saturdays. But bringing in a coach that has ties to the local community, we want to fill those seats every night. And that's something that we're looking to do. And we're going to be intentional about getting that done.
Okay. Good stuff. interesting. There's always, I tell you, you can never get away from parking and tailgate questions. So here's a Sweet. Here's Sweet. I tell you, good job, Sweet. So Sweet says, I always love this when he says he heard. Who'd you hear this from? But he says that he heard that parking in the stadium lot will be limited to 1 hour after the game. Is that true? I don't know how much time do you need after the game to be in the parking lot anyway, but I don't know. Are there restrictions related to parking in the lot, I'm assuming Bragg Stadium, after the game?
I've not heard that.
Okay.
And let me just add, Brian, and you know this as well, and I know AD knows. As someone who tailgate, you need as much time as you need after the game.
I mean, we've been there more sometimes 2 hours after the game, and I mean, I haven't seen us been run off yet. So
I've not heard that.
Okay, appreciate that. Let's see. I'm not sure, Tim. What is?
He's talking about basketball.
Oh yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things that we have been consistently stuck with playing Bethune-Cookman the first game of the basketball season. Obviously, whether it be at Bethune or FAMU, that first weekend, our students, neither ours or Bethune, have been on campus. So it has to do, is there any communication happening with the SWAC schedulers to adjust that? Because that's our rival. So that only is that one game, and it's usually that first Saturday. But I don't know. I don't know if that's something you have observed or seen a trend. Thoughts?
So with me coming in when I did, and this being my first year in the SWAC, I did see that. Now this year, that won't be the case for us because we will end it, right? So it'll be our ending game. But what I can tell you from a data perspective is that game for us was one of our better attended games and one of our higher yielding revenue games, even this year without the students being there. So kudos to the local community for being there and, being able to support the game. Of course, we want our students there. We want everyone there. But at the end of the day, we know that FAMU Athletics is a self-supporting entity. And we will do whatever we need to do in terms of making that happen. So, of course, I will take a look at it, see how we can make it better for us. But again, this was my first year. The game was already set. But in terms of yield, this year, it is probably our highest yield of home games also for the year as well.
Nice. And I will say, I noticed a couple people, obviously we have other SWAC folk who like to watch our show. Even though the SWAC likes to schedule rivalries on week one, it's not every rival. So it's not everyone. It usually, it always has seemed to be us, and you might get another. I'll tell you that Prairie View, that Texas A&M Prairie View isn't on the first weekend. I'm just saying, but
Grambling Southern.
You're
absolutely right. Yeah. It's only a couple of them. True.
Only a couple. Right. It's not everybody. So let's not go to Alabama A&M and Alabama State in that weekend. So anyway, let's not get us started here. You get me started here. I run off. While we're talking basketball, obviously with Coach Ward coming on board, it brings up all of the possibilities of a opportunity to finally have a relationship and a game set up where Florida State men's basketball. I mean, we play Florida State seemingly in every other sport. We've seen women's basketball went to Florida State this past year. Softball plays. Baseball maybe no. I don't know if they have. Baseball doesn't, but basketball is the one that it's been decades since you and Kelvin were on the yard. I didn't see that was before me, so I'm saying when you and Kelvin were on the yard.
Don't do that, dude. Don't do that, dude.
It's been a long time. Let's just say it like that. It's been a long time. What's your thoughts and how is that something that has been talked about? I saw a comment by Coach Ward on maybe on somebody's interview, maybe with either Vaughn or Allison Posey, regarding it. Is that a conversation that you have had with some people? Have people brought it to you saying, hey, we should try to make that happen? What can you share?
I like it.
All right. I love it.
Me too.
Find a way to get one of those in the Lawson Center too. That would.
I like that too.
I would love that. All right. JT asked about the athletics town hall. Is that still in the works?
It is still in the works. Our apologies that it has not happened already. Definitely still in the works. And when we do it, it won't be the last one. So let me say that it will be a recurring event, opportunities for Q&A, and we are working on getting that done.
Okay. Football related question. And this one has come up. Regarding and I don't know. I don't know how to qualify this as a rumor or just conversations, but there's a belief that the conference, the SWAC, has spoken to FAMU about moving the sides of our home and visitors inside of Bragg Stadium, so that obviously, as it currently is constructed, the home team, FAMU, we are on the west side, and the visitors are on the east side, and they have to sometimes cross to go to the locker rooms. Has there been discussions at any level to switching sides, acquiescing to request? What can you share about that rumor?
I'm moving the team back to the east side.
Okay. Moving the home team to us, FAMU to the
I'm
east side.
moving our team back to the east side.
Okay. And okay, you are moving the team to the east side.
I am not the SWAC.
Okay.
I am moving the team to the east side.
And can you share what went into the process of making that decision?
Sure. And so as we stand, the whole stadium is the home side. That's just how we're set up, right? And so while our shade is on one side, our band is on the other side. Our students are on the other side. And so to not have a situation where the teams are having to cross, which creates additional security and the like, without having a situation of where the visiting team is sitting in front of the home band and all of those things, to have our home team on the same side as our home band, because the way our stadium is set up, we can't move the band.
Okay.
So to have the home band by the home team makes it the home side. And so I made the decision to look at that in terms of how we are able to support the capacity of managing, right? So because there requires additional law enforcement, additional crowd control, and all of that to have teams cross on the field. That's an additional expense. It requires additional security as it relates to having your visiting team on the home side as it relates to your students, your band, and others. That's an additional expense. And so as we look at how we manage game day operations, I made the decision to be able to better facilitate a more, efficient and effective game day operations perspective based on the resources that we have by bringing the team to the home side. Now that does mean, so let me share this. That does mean that I'm looking at being able to buy cooling benches, being able to buy, fans that go, being able to get awnings that go over for shade, and being able to facilitate a better situation for our team on the home side. But that was a decision that we made from an administrative perspective, right? Versus all of the other things that I mentioned before.
All right. I appreciate
So
you
anybody
sharing.
got a question, they could Angela Suggs at FAMU.edu.
We appreciate you clarifying that was out there. So there you guys go. You got it out there. Appreciate it. Okay. And look, our home field. You guys talk about a home field. No home field advantage will be lost if everybody is loud. If everyone is loud and into the game, there is no home field. I mean, we have a home field advantage because we have two loud and outstanding sides of our stadium, 17 to 20,000 people engaged and involved. That's why we have a home field advantage. I mean, come on now. Let's keep it. We're going to keep it 100. Let's keep it 100. Literally. All right. Kelvin, anything in there I missed? Because I know I love our AD, but I appreciate her time this evening.
Yeah, I know she has some long days, so I'm not going to open up any more cans of worms. I appreciate the job you're doing. I appreciate the transparency. And I clearly heard and read your last response. And I got you.
Let me see. I think I may have seen one more that had to do with again. As it relates to our fundraising, we still can text FAMU Athletics to 71777. I've been running that across the scroll, and so you guys, we have to make sure we support and continue to build that chest and that base there. All right. I one last question. With graduation weekend coming, how many student athletes are graduating this weekend?
We have 34 student athletes graduating this weekend, and we're super excited about that. And I will be at all three ceremonies. When we also have Rattler baseball in town this weekend, and so if there are any families that are coming in town and you get through your ceremony and you want to kind of see some great baseball, we have Alabama A&M coming to town, and Moore Kittle's Field will be filled on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yes, it will. Should be a good weekend.
Hey,
all right.
I did forget one thing. AD Suggs, are you gonna? Last couple of years, they usually have a forum at the National Alumni Association for athletics, as well as a specific fundraiser for athletics. Will you be at the National Alumni Association convention in Texas?
I will be there, and we will bring Coach Cozy, Coach Ward, and Coach Gordon with us as well.
Okay. All right. Awesome. There you go. All right. And, y'all need to make sure y'all be at the alumni convention, and you have an opportunity to support as well as mingle and get some questions answered.
For sure.
And bring those SWAC championships. You might have more than 3 to bring with you.
Oh yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. We're looking to win everything. Like I said, if they trying to have a trophy for throwing marbles, we trying to win that too. So
amen. I love it. All right, that's right. Dallas. So it's in Dallas, Fort Worth, correct? Frisco, Texas.
It is in Frisco, okay. Yes.
Nice. All right. Kelvin, we gotta work on figuring out how we're gonna get there so we can be there for that. All right. Hey, AD Suggs, thank you again for your time. Thank you as always for your transparency and your honesty. And we appreciate all the information that you shared with us tonight. And have a great weekend celebrating our graduates. And hey, congratulations again, not only on the Coach Ward hire, but the championships and more to come.
More to come. Thank you all so much. Hey, and thanks.
Thank you. All right.
All righty.
Good stuff. All right.
Great stuff.
Oh man, gotta love it. All right. Well, there you go. Right from the AD's mouth. So now there it is. We put it to bed and squash all the rumors, and all the other stuff.
I believe that response went completely over some people's heads, though.
Probably.
Let me just say,
break it down.
Everyone is aware of some of the advantages of us being on the sides we were. However, we all, have in athletics, especially, you got to juggle some things, and I'm sure there's input from security, administration, finance. She rightfully, is ultimately is taking the credit for certain decisions, but I'm sure it's in conjunction with the coaches and the leadership team and the conference and so forth. It's just not a willy-nilly decision.
No. And let's keep it real. No wins and losses are going to come because we were on one side of the field versus the other. Okay, I just feel, that's debate. You can have a debate, but the bottom line, what I love about it, hey, decision has been made. There's reasons for the decisions has been made, and and there's in making the decision, there's some investment going on to make that decision what it is. But you got to remember, Bragg is a place where there's no real visitor side. I mean, it's Rattlers everywhere, and so Mr. Ansley with his bullhorn. Hey, you know what? That
means the year.
Yeah, that means the alumni side. You're gonna have to turn up some. The alumni side. You're gonna have to turn up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes, and Sweet says, "Am I sure?" Yeah, I'm sure. I don't. I mean, look, we when we were in the 90s, Kenya had brought this up. That was the side that the team was on.
Correct.
So this isn't foreign. This isn't new.
Historically, and I just want to speak to that real quick. So historically, what it was always, the way the old Rattlers always told me was the reason why the team was mostly on the east side was because it was with their backs to the campus, and it was like you were defending the campus from the visitors. So it's nothing new. They've been on our side more than they have been on the west side, to be frank.
Yeah.
So
the team defends the school exactly the way you just said it. Defend the school. The school is at our back, and I love it. And if that's how we need to promote it to the folks, then okay, that's what we'll say. But again, and then logistically speaking, look, we've seen. Yes, the worst. If you factor in worst case scenarios, and sometimes people don't like to think about the worst case scenarios or the what ifs, but the what ifs are reality in that you prevent a lot of the few times that we've seen situations. A lot of that gets prevented when you don't have to cross paths. I mean, just keep it real. I mean, and I know it may only happen once every, 10 games, but isn't once more than enough? I think it is. So, okay. What's your thought on the whole LLC thing by the University of Kentucky, Kelvin? Well, I mean, that was an interesting question that came up, and I love the fact that she referenced the fact that Florida Sports Foundation is a, public-private partnership. Do you think that is something that could work at our level at FAMU? And if so, how would that work? How could it work?
So Dr. Cavill, I'm going to use one of his words that he liked to use. I find it fascinating that and it's on the front end. Nobody really knows because you've heard even Florida State talk about and these equity companies trying to get in the collegiate sports arena. So LLC would be definitely a way of maybe doing that and funneling some investment into the programs. But there's some risk as with anything, especially when it's new and is not vetted, so to speak. If you listen to AD Suggs, she likes data, which is how good decisions are made. She talked about even on the facility sides, about a athletic strategic plan for all the athletic facilities. And so it would have to be vetted. But I tell you, as an idea, as a potential, it has a lot of potential. And I would absolutely look forward to us, going down that road of doing the assessment of whether, it's a good fit for us. And just in general, I just make some general statements. So when you're LLC, and there's some benefits to that, right? There's some tax things potentially with that. There's some type of investment, the kind of investments you can get from the private sector specifically, that it might take an athletic department like ours 20, 30 years to raise. You might can get it in one big bunch. So there's a lot of potential in that, but the devil is always in the detail. And so but I love that IAD is aware of it and we're at least thinking about that. It's an option.
All right. Let's transition the conversation for a second, Kelvin, to the presidential search at Florida A&M, which has gotten a lot of attention over the past week or so. And as you heard AD Suggs talk about, the role of the president is very important and paramount in the world of athletics, not just at the NCAA level, but at the conference level. So for anybody that doesn't think our president is aware of what's happening in athletics, you would be mistaken. Okay, that you've heard us oftentimes talk about when things are happening in the world of athletics that you question or wonder why they are. Well, one of the people that you should always communicate to or send an email to is definitely your university president or chancellor, because they are the ones that the NCAA works for them. Conferences work for the presidents. Okay. So this is what is really at stake for athletics, not only just as university level, but this university hire, this person who will come in, has we have a vested interest in what they do from a university level, but also for those of you who are more athletically interested, it also would have you should be keenly aware of how that might affect athletics. Kelvin, the names, the 4 names, I think most Rattlers are aware by now of the names. But what has been interesting in this process is that initially, and I'm going to surmise here, so feel free to correct anything, and I'm going to let you go. Initially, the names were not very well. They were supposed to be secret in terms of who the finalists were. I will say that I learned 2 weeks before the first report came out from the Tallahassee Democrat who one of the candidates were. And I think many within our FAMU circles, if you were on some type of Facebook group, you began to know who one of the potential candidates was. So as the finalists became known, I guess it wasn't supposed to be publicly known, but the Tallahassee Democrat had learned the names and had put the names out prior to the university officially making the names known. So what ensued had been, from the board of trustees meeting, from the search committee, had been this whole thing going on about how these candidates came into being. What they started as 3, then it became 4. How did we get to 4? And so on and so forth. And so now we're at a point where we now know that there are 4 candidates, but we have the board of governors, which oversees our board of trustees. I hope I'm saying that right. Are investigating or inquisitive about how we got to 4. So, Kelvin, what is your review or thoughts on this presidential search, the process, and the future? Because if I'm not mistaken, in a couple of weeks, 4 candidates are supposed to be making on-campus visits.
Mm-hmm.
In a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So it's times like these I wish our good brother Kofi was around, because he is much more articulate and eloquent than I am about these things. But first of all, I want to say it's very important. It's important for a lot of reasons. It's important for the advancement of Florida A&M University in every way, from funding by the state to the academic offerings and to the support of athletics to the responsiveness to the DSOs and alumni to the investment in PICO dollars for construction and operational dollars. Last year we got $0 from the state in terms of our PICO list, which is public capital educational capital outlay, which is basically money from the state for the building of facilities. So, we also missed out on some funding in terms of Bezos' ex-wife, and so all these different things, fundraising. We saw what happened with a fiasco. So the leadership of Florida A&M University, which is a big brand, is very important, not just for the city of Tallahassee or the state of Florida, but for the nation and the world. So it's important that we get it right. Number one. Number two, we see what's happening politically, both nationally as well as within the state itself. And frankly, we need someone at the helm of our university that has relationships but can fend off, that's going to fight for FAMU. Right now, if you see what's happening with the African American Museum and DEI, this is not a time where we need a consensus builder. This time we need a fighter. We need somebody who understands the lay of the land and you know, gonna stand on business. So I think it's very important that our DSOs and our leadership and the alumni. And I know that some of our alumni are already doing the work. I've seen the form letters. People are sending them out, and you know, part of what's happening with, I believe that, you know, there's been an inquiry from the SACS accreditation about this thing, which is, I think, why the board is also trying to get involved and get ahead of it. But we need this process to be transparent, and at the end of the day, give us the most qualified candidate for FAMU. So, therefore, I'm disappointed. I can't understand the silence of those leaderships right now. This is, you know, it's easy to lead when everything's gravy and there's no hard decisions. But you know, I personally judge leadership how they handle adversity. You know, when you think nobody ain't watching, or when things are difficult, right? You just saw our AD, and you can glean a lot about her and her management and leadership's prowess by how she, you know, how she didn't talk about just the good things and all the championships, but how she, you know, hey, I made this decision. You know, as someone who's been in the military and kind of old school, you know, I appreciate that kind of leadership. Again, someone who stands on business. So this is a really important decision. The board of governors, the board of governors has asked for, you know, all the documentations and videos surrounding and communication surrounding the board meeting, in which it was supposed to be, as far as we all know, 3 names, and ended up 4 names. And, you know,
sounds familiar.
Yes. You know, if you look at, which is why committees are so frustrating at FAMU, and why we talk about it all the time on this show and have in the past. You know, the committee process is frustrating because it doesn't even matter when they have processes, because they don't follow the process. Right? And so, you know, Rally Nation gonna do what Rally Nation does. I think, you know, we need to be vocal. We need to be prepared to fight. We need our students chiming in. You know, SGA, and you know, out of these 4 candidates, one is not like the other 3.
One is not like the others.
Right. And so,
in more ways than one.
Yeah. So I think it's really important that, you know, we're vocal, and you know, we continue to write letters to the BOT, the committee, the BOG, and make sure that we get what FAMU deserves, the best, and someone who's gonna put up some sort of fight in these difficult challenges. And I'll just leave it there for now.
You mentioned quiet leadership, or the quietness of leadership from DSOs, and I'm assuming I see a couple of our friends in the chats pointing out that our National Alumni Association elections are ending today. I'm assuming the last day of the month, and you know, while there may be some silence in this aspect from them, what I wonder if one of the candidates, and you know, if one of the candidates had a platform that spoke to this how would that push the votes? Or maybe is this something that came out too late? So yeah, he tells me today is the last day for voting for the National Alumni Association.
Yeah, and I've been put my vote in. So for those who haven't, wasn't aware, check your email and check your spam. Make sure for those who are paid members that you and make sure you exercise your duty to do so. This is bigger than winning an election, though. You need to have a voice. We all have a voice, and we need to use our voice, no matter who's leading the DSO. So, and I mean, the way I look at it, if I can't hear from you, can't trust you to speak up, now why would I trust you after the fact, right?
If not now, when?
Yeah, right.
If not now, when?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm curious if what you just stated, for those of you who are voting members online, did anyone ask the candidates that? And did that sway your votes? Did your vote, was your vote swayed based on the response or lack of a response by any of the candidates running? I think that's an interesting angle during the election season, one that maybe they didn't think they would have to deal with, but as things transpired, it became might have been something that would push somebody in a particular direction. So yeah, but good stuff. So again, I think the on-campus, and here's another thing, Kelvin. With on-campus visits, because I feel like and I don't want to, I don't want to say that this generation of students aren't concerned, but I'll be interested to see how invested and how interested and involved. And see, obviously, when they come on campus, it's summer, so you may not get this. But how many people will be there to make their voice heard, protest? And I'm just wondering, I'm trying to play it out in my head that as you have these people making visits, and obviously we know, some of the candidates have drawn more negative attention than others. Will there be people that are on campus to protest, to make their voices heard, their displeasure to Board of Trustees members? I mean, it's great. Again, if you're part of the email chain and you have emailed your Board of Trustees members or people who are the search committee, I great encourage you to do so. But again, silence will get us nowhere, Rattlers. I'll just say it like that.
I'm getting ready to post right now. Silence is acceptance.
Silence is acceptance. Silence will get us nowhere in this process. And who was it? I put that up here. Hold on. Where is it? I put it up earlier. I hope I started. We and I think it was a little baby. Yes. I'm gonna put this back up again. We raised hell and hounded the Board of Trustees and the former AD about a football coach. That same energy should be used towards our next president and this process. I could not have said this any better. Thank you, little baby. And that's why I put it back up again. Because, yes, we were vocal. I mean, to the point where, you had people from the outside looking at us like, what are y'all doing? Why won't y'all let the AD pick her choice and blah, blah, blah? Well, okay, Rattlers. Don't be silent now. don't be silent now. This is bigger than the head football coach. I know we're in Florida.
Yeah.
You get it. I understand. I've lived here long enough to understand how much football means in Florida. But no, this is bigger. So let's go. Yep.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Silence is accepted. I'm gonna put it up here just in case anybody watching the show does not and is not in the chat room. So now it is visible and seen. Silence is acceptance. Mm-hmm.
And frankly, man, let me just say this, and I'm not accusing anybody, but we always pride ourselves here on this show that we don't mind having difficult conversations sometimes.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I think everybody, in terms of the leadership, want what's best for FAMU. All right, let me be clear on that. However, when you go silent on me, sometimes I wonder, are you silent because you got FAMU best interests, or are you silent because you got your best interests? I'm just saying,
Makes you wonder. Something to make you. So you say something to make you go,
Hey, I mean, you're silent, so I'm left to guess.
Yeah. Don't let us guess. Don't leave us out there. Yeah. Don't let us guess.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're getting close here to the close, and I want to make a couple of mentions of some recruiting news that came out this past week. I tried to gather what I could here. Two real interesting decisions that have come. Let's talk football for a second. First two very interesting football additions to the family came first from the 26th, so just 4 days ago, earlier in the week. Miles Campbell, 6'4", 245, former tight end from North Carolina Central, comes over to FAMU from Central. Real interesting, of course, one of his former coaches from North Carolina Central, part of the staff. And it had appeared that we had an opening at the tight end position as Kobe Gross. We talked about this last week. Kobe Gross had jumped in the portal. Well, I don't know if it was the same day, Kelvin, as the news when Miles Campbell committed, but I think it was, we talked about Gross is out of the portal and back committed to FAMU. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Well, that's good news. Good news.
That is great news. That tight end room is looking like the tight end room from three years ago when we had Kamara Young as the seasoned vet, and we had Gross who came over, and a couple other guys. Well, now we're 4 deep at the tight end spot, and they all are great size. Got great skill sets. Should be a weapon. We probably need to do two tight end sets a little bit with the quality of tight ends that we have. So I don't know if they had to move forward because they didn't know, once Kobe, once you put your name in the pot, you don't know if people gonna return. But the fact that he returned just makes that room that much stronger. Then of course, I have to, and he's coming from Central, and I believe we had offensive lineman that also committed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which we have 2 Central coaches on staff, and I think it says a lot about them that players are coming to our program after I'm sure they have some relationships and something to do with that. And then, of course, at the quarterback position, we saw the. Go ahead.
Hold on a second before I want to let, because a lot of people may not know before you go to the quarterback position. I was looking up the stats here on Miles because a lot of people may not know he started his career class of 21 and he started at Tennessee, University of Tennessee. So he's from Douglasville, Georgia. Initially was at University of Tennessee for the 21-22 season before he transferred. Now, he did not have any stats, didn't have any numbers in the 2022 season, but 2023, he had some numbers at North Carolina Central. Not a lot, only played in 2 games. Didn't have any numbers in 24. So here's a young man who's looking for an opportunity. You mentioned, you see the size, and there's, the size is there. And I think, this opportunity for a young man who's looking for an opportunity. There's, at this point, there's a lot of guys with potential. And if they can stay healthy, and, we might see what attracted him to Tennessee a few years ago. That's the hope. I mean, we know what Kobe Gross is going to give us. We've seen Kobe Gross in action. Miles Campbell has the measurements and the pedigree as an SEC recruit, right, to potentially be a great addition. Right now, his story completely a little bit different than CJ Montez, the quarterback from Fordham. He is a known, from the standpoint of what we've seen from CJ. And we got the news that CJ committed to FAMU. I believe that was Sunday afternoon when CJ committed to FAMU. He played in the 2023 season for Fordham, in which Kelvin, he had, and I have the graphic here, he had one of the greatest FCS seasons in the past 25 years from a low interception rate. Here's the numbers that he had in that 2023 season. I tweeted this out. 241 completions on 375 attempts. That's a 64.3 completion percentage average. Threw for just under 3,000 yards, 2,997, 26 touchdowns, and you see it right there. 1 interception. 1. I mean, and look at the 3 names ahead of him, right? Of course, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Fitzmagic, who had several stops in the NFL, many years. Then Trey Lance, drafted, I think, number 3 overall. He's still bouncing around in the league somewhere. Right. I don't know about Kobe Wilstead. I don't know where he is or whatever. But notice the thing that I got, Kelvin. Look at the pass attempts in that season. 376 and 1 INT. Passer rating of 153.7. So he was, after that season, going into the 2024 season for Fordham, he was on everybody's watch list, FCS watch list, right? He got injured in the third game of the season for Fordham.
Last year.
I don't know the extent, but it was a season-ending injury. So he only played 3 games last year. Then at the conclusion of the season, he transferred or jumped in the portal, transferred to, guess where?
Kent
State, right? Where our good friend Josh Padilla happened to go, right? And, I spoke with Josh, and Josh had said he thought he was going to be a starter for the team. Well, lo and behold, Kent State went through some changes
Mm-hmm.
So with the coaching, the head coach was, I guess, let go. He was let go, and the offensive coordinator took over. And this happened right at the end of spring ball. So whatever happened at Kent State, when the coach leaves, it opens the door for any player to find a new home.
Mm-hmm.
And so, lo and behold, he jumps in the portal. I think it was on April 15th. And as of maybe 12 days later, a big get for Coach Colsey and Coach Burris as they get a new QB, one to come in that I've heard a few people within our sporting diaspora, our media coverage, talk about we might have the best quarterback going into the fall in the SWAC. That's how respected CJ Montez is. So I want to set that up. Kelvin, what's your thought on this pickup for our football program?
I watched the tape of him playing Buffalo, a Division I program, in which Fordham put up.
Was that the 5 touchdown game he had?
Yeah, 400, about 400 yards. I mean,
it's a beautiful thing.
And that was against a FBS program,
Mm-hmm.
right? The potential of this is huge, right? We saw the impact that Daniel Richardson had last year because of his accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're talking about someone who projects to have equal, if not more, accuracy, but has a lot more athleticism that can actually move in the pocket, can run, is a true dual threat. It would be very interesting should he win the job, that what the offense would look like with the running game and the weapons we have outside, along with some of the D linemen we got coming in. If our defense returns to true form and we get some turnovers and give that offense more opportunities, I mean, how Rattler Nation is. We gonna lose our minds, and by that first game against Howard, man, folks will probably be talking about we putting up Billy Joe numbers, right? That's the standard. That is the standard. And we saw that with Curtis Pulley and what a real dual threat can do. So a lot of excitement as to this pickup, and you got to figure you don't bring someone with those credentials in unless you think that that's your person. So we'll see. We got some very capable guys already here. We was there at the spring game, did our reaction show right after that. The guys here are legit,
very capable.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be like Miss Celia, watch the wall and see what the wall gonna look like next.
Yeah, I agree with you, Hollow. It's going to be a great quarterback battle. It'd be interesting to see all these guys get in the room, and one of the things CJ is going to have to do is he's going to have to get in, and how quickly he can learn the playbook, because obviously the other guys have a semester on him, but you got the summer. You got the summer to work and get it figured out, right? So it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. And I just saw a tweet from Coach Colsey. So shout out to Coach Colsey. He's out there on the recruiting trail. I think he's out in the JUCOs. And he just tweeted that 1 p.m. Eastern. I don't know if I think that's swoop time. So I don't know. 1 p.m. Eastern. He's got an offensive signing. So he must be watching the show, because he did tag us. He said he wanted us to help swoop with the time. So we got you, Coach. We got you. We will help Bobby with the time. 1 p.m. Eastern. I have to give Bobby a text in the morning. Make sure to set your clock. 1 p.m. Eastern. We got a new signing that's going to happen on the offensive side of the ball. So that'll be interesting to see. Okay, that's the football announcement. Basketball. Let me see. One quickly find the basketball news because we got two new signings. This happened 2 days ago, Monday. Is it Monday? Yeah, Monday. Coach Ward's first commitment came from, and I hope I'm saying the name right, Davier Palmer Jr. Davier Palmer played for. He's an alum of Christ the King up in New York, 6'7", 215 guard wing. He played for Monroe Community College, and he was as you can see there, he was a JUCO All-American honorable mention. Again, at the JUCO level there, they have 3 teams, and then they have an honorable mention team. So essentially among all the junior college players in the nation, I believe he would fall into the top 30. He would fall into the top 30. I was trying to find his stats because I had him pulled up previously. I think he was averaging about 16 a game. If I can, I'm going to scroll through here and see if I can find it here. But anyway, shout out to Davier for coming on board, being a part of the first recruits. And there's a nice footage if you happen to follow him or follow us on X. In a national tournament game against Chipola, he scored 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 1 assist. For Monroe Community College. So I think the furthest they got in the tournament was they were ranked 20th in the nation. They knocked off Chipola in overtime, and I think they ended up losing in the next round, but it was a good win, a 79-78 win. So, and again, he's a Christ the King alum, Christ the King out of New York City.
Right.
I think that is the school where, help me, Christ the King. Is that where Kenny Anderson went to school? No, wait a minute.
I can't remember, but I know a lot of New York City legends from back in the day definitely come from there.
Ash said Kylan Anthony. Now that's Carmelo's son, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Correct.
See, yes. Like how old am I? And I'm sitting there thinking I'm talking about Kenny Anderson. Jesus. It was one of those guys, because I know it was like I think it was Kenny Anderson. I bet somebody in the chat will correct me and tell me that it was or wasn't. But so he would be the first signee under the Coach Ward era. And then a couple days later, Scott Golden of Hoop Exchange posted or broke the news that Anthony Knowles, who is on the right, a 6-foot point guard from Sagemont High School, committed. And I will tell you that Sagemont is like, that's the program that we played prior to last season. That's the school we played in the state championship game 3 consecutive years. And they beat us the last 2 years. And I think they did win a state championship this past year. So they think they three-peated because we weren't in there. So that's how they ended up winning the 4th. But anyway, I know that's a good program, and he's a solid player. So that's a good get for Coach Ward. So those are the first two from Coach Ward. So yeah, just had to point that out. Yes, thanks for reminding me, Ash. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. And I know Coach Gordon did have a couple of signees, got a couple of recruits. We'll get into maybe sharing those next week. I don't have the graphic and everything pulled up. But speaking of Coach Gordon, shout out to Coach Gordon, who had a birthday. Just
happy birthday, Coach.
Coach Gordon had a birthday. What day was it? It was like, I'm losing track of days. I think it was Sunday. I think Coach had her birthday on Sunday, the 27th. So what day was that? Sunday? Yeah. So Coach Gordon had a birthday on Sunday, the 27th. Shout out to Dennis Driscoll. He had a birthday on Tuesday. So yeah, shout out to my fellow Tauruses. Much love, Team Taurus. I get it now. I love you. I love Coach Gordon even more because she has that Taurus personality. I love it. I can tell. So it fits. It fits.
Yeah.
That's why I love Coach Gordon right there. Yeah, exactly. Happy birthday, Coach Pressure. Yep. And then of course, so we'll share the news about. We'll gather up some of the names, the recent names that have signed on with her. Yeah, we'll share some of that news next Wednesday. All right. Yep. Well, Kelvin, this is my last show at coming up on this end of the cycle. Next time I'll be a little older and a little wiser. At least that's what they say. So with that said, I want to give you a chance. Any final words or final shout outs? You know what? I forgot the other story, but I can save it. You know, the Shaq, but whatever.
Yeah. No, I don't have anything. I'm gonna just bid everyone adieu. Have a wonderful week. Thank you for watching our show. We really appreciate you. We try to be informative, and we're going to try to get some student athletes for the next show. During this part of the summer, and we like to get our student athletes on. So we got a lot of champions to choose from. So we'll try to get some golf, tennis, and softball, and maybe track athletes on.
Okay. All right. I see some of you asking is when will Black Tony be? Look, Marcus is on assignment. I'm sure Marcus will hopefully be able to join us next week.
When the spirit leads him.
We don't want it to leave him.
Lead.
Oh, lead. I thought you said lead. Okay, thank you. Thank you for clarifying. Hey, I appreciate you. Appreciate you, Hollow. Thank you. Thank you, Tamara. Appreciate you as well. Yep. Thank you, guys. Big day coming up. Thank you, everybody. Big day coming up on, I think, Tuesday. So I get to always celebrate Cinco de Mayo and then it lead into May 6th. So big Monday and Tuesday coming up next week. Somehow I'm going to drag myself to work because it's Teacher Appreciation Week next week, my favorite week. You see, there's another reason why I became a teacher. I get Cinco de Mayo, my birthday, Teacher Appreciation Week. I love the first week in May. Love it. All right. Well, again, we thank Coach Beall for joining the show. We thank AD Suggs for joining the show. We appreciate all of you in the chat. Great questions for both Coach and AD, and great commentary and conversation going on in the chat. I think you've heard enough from us, Rattler Nation. You know what you need to do, and let's get out and support. Let's support, and let's support our university. Let's support our athletic program, and let's love on these student athletes. And so wherever you are, if you're going to be in Tallahassee, make sure you head over to More Kittles to check out the baseball team against Alabama A&M. and we will celebrate our student athletes, celebrate all of the graduates class of 2025, spring class 2025. We salute you. We welcome you to the alumni family. And let me give a quick shout out again. I got to give a shout out to Kendall Bowler. We didn't get a chance to do this. Kendall Bowler, congratulations, Kendall, signing an undrafted free agent contract with the Denver Broncos. So, he gets an opportunity to the guys who are still waiting on the opportunity. Stay positive, stay prayerful, and keep working out. Keep working. Don't give up on the dream. Just wanted to make mention of that. So, all right. For Marcus Green, who's out on assignment, Kelvin Roger, who you see on the screen, I'm Bryan Fulford. Thank you, everybody, for watching the show tonight. Have a good night. God bless. Go check out the podcast on the BCSN Pod Zone, everywhere you listen to podcasts, on Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, all of those locations. Make sure you check us out. Hit the thumbs up and the like button on your way out the door. Peace out. God bless. Things up. And make sure to strike, and strike again.